Enter.
Good morning. Sorry, we took a little bit of more time than expected, but we had to sort out some things. So, can I get a good morning from everyone? Nice, nice. That's awesome to hear. It's nice to see that the whole auditorium is completely filled, and so we have an entire day planned. Oh, sorry, half a day planned for you guys, and it's a very exciting time. And we have a lot of lined up from in terms of for students and for employees. So students, it's actually a great day for you because you'll be learning a lot. And as I said earlier, before the show began, we have the Saaf Water here, who themselves are students, right? I mean, they were students. So welcome to Saaf Water, who's the Global 2021 Challenge winners, right? Round of applause for them, please. So in the 5 years that we have been doing Call for Code, right, it was always a dream for many of us, right, that there should be an Indian team who's winning the championship, right, the challenge, and there they are. So it's a great achievement for us, and we should obviously make use of their time here. They are here for, I'm assuming, half a day at least. So please feel free to connect with them, and it will be a great knowledge session for you guys too. So let's begin. So to start off things, we have Mr. Kuljesh Puri, who is the Senior Vice President and General Manager, IBM Alliance, Communications and Media Product Business. So if Mr. Kuljesh, if I can ask you to come on stage and proceed this.
No, I think this is, am I audible? Okay, hi guys, good morning to all of you. And first of all, a very warm welcome. Thanks for, making your time and coming here. I think we have a pretty diverse mix of audience today. I mean, we have obviously employees from Persistent. We have a lot of university students, which is very heartening to see. And then we have, our guest speakers and attendees. So again, thanks everyone for coming along. As Shiva said, I lead the IBM business here in Persistent, and Persistent and IBM relationship goes back, decades, right? Almost like for the past 20, 25 years, we have been working together. This relationship is more of a partnership where we are actually helping IBM in almost all of their, product lines. Just to name the stats, I mean, almost 100 plus products, 50 plus brands we have been associated with across the segments of data, AI, automation, security, you name it. So we have been, wearing the IBM hats in some cases, working for their customers, providing the product engineering services to IBM. So, the relationship is pretty strong. Since the Call for Code inception in 2018, we have been kind of, Persistent has been associated in a pretty active way. We have been sponsoring this event for over 4 years now. Very nice to see this is the first time, we are hosting this in India. So, call it the India chapter. And in terms of, our commitment to Call for Code, we probably are one of the, harbingers in that. Now this year, the theme is going to be sustainability, ESG. You will hear, in the hours to come, many speakers talking about that. We have a panel as well. So you will hear things about, how ESG and sustainability is becoming more relevant and important in the current scheme of things, not just from a community support perspective, but also from a business angle perspective, right? So today, what we are trying to kind of, endeavor and do is working along with our customers, including IBM, to see how we can bring in the technology advancements and such events like Call for Code to help on, things like ESG and sustainability. So with that, again, thank you everyone for coming here. And, hopefully this will be a very enlightening and insightful sessions for you going forward. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Kuljesh, for starting off things. So as I said, we have an exciting half a day for you guys, and we would definitely like to show you the agenda of the day, right? So for that, I would like to invite Alicia. She'll introduce herself. So
Hello, everyone. It's so nice to be here, and I'm really excited that we're able to host this event with our partners, Persistent. As was mentioned, we've had this great partnership for this is a 5th year, and looking forward to growing it even more. So my name is Alicia, just by way of introduction, Alicia Walker. I am program manager of Call for Code with IBM, and I'm here basically to kind of go over the agenda to let you know what's in store. So we have a really packed agenda. As you can see, with some really good information, we're going to kick it off. We have our IBM director, ecosystem director, Sumitra Limaye, who is going to give an overview about Call for Code, what it is, when it got started, what we're doing now, and how you can all answer the call. So pay attention to find out details about what's in store. In addition, we're going to be honored to have Dr. Anand Deshpande, which is the president and chairman and managing director of Persistent, and he's going to deliver our keynote address, so looking forward to that. In addition, afterward, we're going to have a really great panel discussion where technology meets sustainability, and led by Ms. Chitra Biragauda. And so head of the ESG and Persistent, so we're really looking forward to that. In addition to, really excited, and it was mentioned after the break, we're going to sit down and have a discussion with Saaf Water and our 2021 Global Challenge winners. And they're going to give you all the details about their experiences with Call for Code, how they got involved, what they're doing in the local communities to really make a difference. So hopefully, and be prepared to be inspired by that discussion. And what's a discussion about sustainability without the discussion about technology? So we're really looking forward to having a technology overview with the title "Turn Sustainability into Action," and by Ms. Priya, and we're going to learn more about how we can do that and how you can do that. And last but not least, innovation and design thinking. How can you get those ideas that are in your head, go through problem-solving methodology to really spur your innovative and creative side to bring about a solution that really makes an impact. So, and lastly, we'll have some closing remarks, next steps, and again, how you can get involved in many ways. So that's the overview. And I want to take this time to pause and to introduce our next speaker. As I mentioned, we're having Sumitra Limaye to come on to have a discussion with you about Call for Code. And just as a brief bio about Sumitra, he is the director of IBM Ecosystem, and he's responsible for driving business with our ecosystem partners globally, including GSIs, ISVs, and strategic partnerships. He has been in various roles across engineering, professional services, product support, and client success, and has over 16 plus years with IBM. In his last role, he was leading the digital engineering transformation for the company and building the platform for our partners. And before that, he was responsible for professional services and product support across Asia and China geographies for IBM Collaboration Solutions, winning over marquee enterprise clients, and being a passionate champion for client success with deep client insights for global clients and also 18 patents to his name. He has been a strong proponent of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and was recognized as the IBM Global Executive to be at the IBM Be Equal Champion, along with being a part of IBM's Women Executive Council. And he derives a great deal of gratification by putting people first, collaboration, and has driven several successful outcomes to partnerships with the teams that he works with. So without further ado, I would love to hand it over to Sumitra Limaye. Thank you.
He's not here yet. One? Okay.
Is fine to use?
Yeah, it is.
So good morning, everyone, once again, and thank you, Alicia, for the lengthy introduction. But it's a great morning, and it's exciting to see a full house here. I just remembered when I was sitting here right now that the last time I was here, probably 3 weeks ago, I was actually sitting there. There was a book launch, and I was thinking to myself, this is such a beautiful auditorium. We should have more opportunities to be on this side as well, right? So I'm very excited. Big thank you to Persistent for hosting us here and for being sponsors, like Kuljesh said, of Call for Code over the years. It means a lot to us, and your support is extremely important as we keep progressing. So today, as Alicia has kind of highlighted going through the agenda, we have a packed schedule. We have eminent speakers, colleagues from the industry. We have design thinking workshops and panel discussions. We have the Saaf Water team again, right? So they've traveled from Goa. I was just catching up with them. They're based out of Goa. And I was saying, how can you get work done from Goa, right? But they, surprisingly, they've got a good setup. They were explaining, early stage, late stage, how we get it all together. So it's very interesting, and big welcome to you folks. Honor to have you here. And of course, you would hear from, specialists in the field, a lot of technology sessions, of course, Dr. Anand Deshpande. So, I mean, there are more than enough reasons for everyone to be here, right? So before I get into Call for Code and the details around the program itself, today morning when I was thinking about the Call for Code over the years that we've ran from 2018, one of the interesting things that struck me was the number of participants from India, typically on an average every year, are around 50%. And at first I was like, wow, this is extremely interesting. And then when I paused and thought about it, I realized that it's not actually that surprising. And there are two primary reasons for that. Number one, India is the fastest growing developer community in the world, right? I don't know how many of you know this, but developers, innovators, problem solvers, it's the fastest growing community. And in the next couple of years, India is going to be the largest developer population globally. Number two, fundamentally, I think people from this part of the world have an innate sense of curiosity and are in general seekers of knowledge and trying to find answers and things along those lines. So there is always a purpose associated to everything. So everyone in this room, right, and we have a large student population as well, we work on projects. In the industry, we work on deliverables that, our project teams and everyone has. But what more can we do out of those, the code that we write? And I think the opportunity that Call for Code provides is to do more and make a difference to the world through the code that you build. So without further ado, let me just go through a quick set of slides. Can we move to the next slide? Yeah, thanks. So Call for Code is, again, a program incepted by David Clark Cause. I was just mentioning that I was lucky enough in 2018 to be part of the program structure that we were building around Call for Code. And again, this is something done as purely a source of passion for most of us. IBM has been a lead partner along with David Clark Cause. We obviously have United Nations Human Rights and the Linux Foundation as supporting partners along the way. So just looking at these stats that you see here, right? So we have, over the period of, this is the 5th year, over the period of these 5 years, we have had 500,000 developers, problem solvers, data scientists as a part of the community. And this is spread over 180 countries. So we have contributors from across 180 countries. 160,000 plus of those are actually students, right? So I'm extremely delighted to have this part of the ecosystem also involved here, because there's a lot of innovation that comes through that. Saaf Water is a case, in point. We've, over a period of these 5 years, we've had 20,000 solutions and apps built through the Call for Code initiative and the community at large. Moving to the next slide. Call for Code has always been focused on themes, right? So as you would see here, we've tried to solve the largest humanitarian and societal issues that we see in the world today, and also mapped it to reality. So if you go through the timelines from 2018, a lot of stuff that was happening at that time in the world, in India, closer to home, apart from, the fires and all the forest fires and stuff like that. We had Kerala that happened, a lot of flooding. So every year there's a mapping to what, is the difference we can bring through building solution aligned to what the global challenges are, right? What the largest challenges at that point in time are. So 2018-19, we had natural disasters. 2020, we said, climate change, COVID hit all of us. We all know what happened with COVID. So we had a separate program which was focused on the theme of COVID-19. And then 2020, we said climate change. Coming to the 2021, sorry, was climate change. Coming to the 5th year, we are now focused on sustainability, right? So sustainability is the new buzzword, but really is something, when you reflect back and think, it's something of utmost importance in today's world. So how do we build solutions and technology that can improve production, sustainable production, consumption, and management of resources, reduce carbon footprint, reduce pollution, basically evolve into working towards a greener planet. And it's not just for us today, but also our future generations, right? But we are seeing the effects right from today. Moving to the next slide. So sustainability as a theme. Okay, so one thing I would want to tell all of you, especially who have not been part of Call for Code or have not known Call for Code before, is you must, as soon as you get an opportunity today, right now maybe, go to callforcode.org and click on Get Started. So everything that I'm sharing here is actually already there, right? So it's information that you can always go back to. The idea of sustainability as a theme this year is there are 8 problems or issues that we are seeing under sustainability. The solutions that you would build under this theme should ideally be aligned to one of these 8 issues. So if you look at carbon emissions, how do you manage, analyze, measure, mitigate carbon emissions, right? How do you improve accessibility to clean energy? All of us talk about this. There are a huge amount of initiatives. When I came into the building today morning, I couldn't miss that board on the left-hand side, right, which talks about the pollution, the carbon footprint for this building itself, which I think is, again, as a socially responsible organization, it's a wonderful thing to see. And it relates to sustainability. So everything that we are talking about today and efforts that we are taking are directly related to this piece. If you talk about supply chain, you're thinking of how do I bring transparency into the supply chain itself, right? So that I can figure out what the sustainability issues are. Water scarcity. There's drinking water scarcity problem that these guys are solving here, Saaf Water. How do we overcome those challenges, right? So reduce waste, biodiversity, food insecurity. How do you have more equitable access to everything from job opportunities to education, etc. So those are the 8 large issues that we are listing under sustainability. So choose any one or many when you focus on the solutions that you're building. I think in the interest of time, can we skip this slide, please? Okay. So as if the reason for changing the world was not a good enough reason, we're adding more to that, right? So there's obviously a prize money associated. As you see, there's $285,000 worth of prize money that can be won. There are also interesting subsections within this, right? So from a university perspective, from a student population perspective, we have a separate pool, and we also have a pool of $3,500 for the top 2 winning teams for each challenge accelerator. So challenge accelerators are something new we've introduced this year, which essentially are 2-week sprints to help you accelerate your journey of building a solution and submitting the solution. So you get access to SMEs, you get mentors, you get technical sessions, you get the whole hog in a compressed 2-week kind of a fast track event that is held. Moving to the next slide. All right, so this is a view of the winners that we've had. So again, Saaf Water last year have done a tremendous job, and I'm sure they're going to explain to you what they've been doing since. But one of the interesting things on this slide to highlight is what is different about hackathons that we generally have, or tech for good initiatives that we generally have, versus Call for Code. And I think the biggest difference is you generally, as a hackathon, you stop at a prototype, right? You build something 24 hours, coming together and building creative solutions. But Call for Code then has a programmatic approach to help you get there, right? Number one, but also then deploy your solutions in the communities where the solutions will make a difference. So we've actually tied up with a large ecosystem of non-profits and government organizations over a period of many years. And each of the winners that we've had have had their solutions deployed across various countries, various geographies, and even specific areas where we've seen these natural disasters and issues. So that's the kind of support you'll get. You have open source support from the Linux Foundation itself. So it's the end-to-end story which really sets Call for Code apart. Moving to the next slide. Big thank you to all the sponsors and affiliates that we've had. Persistent, like we said and Kuljesh mentioned, has been a huge supporter over the last 4 years, continuing this year. So big thank you, and a round of applause to Persistent as well. Thank you. Moving to the next one. All right, so this is, and you'll see all of this on callforcode.org anyways, but this is to give you a quick preview of the timelines that we have in terms of the global challenge, right? So October 31st is when the global challenge ends. So make sure you start today and you see your projects through. The 2-week accelerators also the ones that you would see in green highlighted. So I think there's a event happening September 14th to 28th, which is around protecting our environment challenge accelerator. So make sure you use these resources. And just looking back at this room over here, I think the excitement is tremendous, because I think it is a lot of the talent in this room is going to not just participate but also be winners of the challenge. And the reason is the disproportionate value, I think, the passion, creativity, and just seeing the number of folks here who are participating in this event makes me feel that there's going to be somebody from this group who's going to emulate a Saaf Water, right? So I'm really looking forward to that for this year. Moving to the next slide. So the next steps are very simple. You go to callforcode.org, you start finding your teammates, peers, experts, mentors, ask questions, right? Start exploring the skills and knowledge base that you require. There are learning plans you will find there. There are webinars that happen. You can also earn badges along the way. So there are opportunities for doing that. All you need to do is basically register on IBM Cloud. And we've provided a variety of services free for everyone who registers via the program. So you'll have, right from building your clusters to, weather company APIs, which I think is extremely useful, especially when you're talking about natural disasters and things that affect the world from a humanitarian and societal challenge perspective. And then submit your solution. As I said, October 31st is the date. So submit your solution. And I think that's, is that the last slide?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So again, extremely excited here. Dr. Anand, perfect timing. You've just walked in. So I want to also, introduce, needs no introduction, but introducing Dr. Deshpande. So Dr. Anand Deshpande is the founder, chairman, and managing director of Persistent Systems since inception, and is responsible for the overall leadership of the company. Anand holds a Bachelor of Technology with honors in Computer Science and Engineering from IIT Kharagpur, and an MS and PhD in Computer Science from Indiana University. Anand is a true technology visionary and has been the driving force in growing Persistent from inception in 1990 to the publicly traded global organization that it is today. He is the founding trustee of Persistent Foundation and has served numerous positions at various professional and non-profit organizations. After transitioning from the role of CEO at Persistent, Anand is committed to making a broader impact and is focused on data, higher education, and entrepreneurship. So without further ado, Dr. Deshpande, welcome.
Thank you, Soumitra, and it's so nice to see so many people in this auditorium. So it's really good to see all of you, and I'm sure lots of you are online as well. So a really exciting day for me and for all of you, and what better occasion than today being the hackathon day for me. We just started out the Smart India hackathon. I was there at the inauguration just now. And that one, again, we have more than 10,000 teams, and we've had more than 1 million people who have participated in these hackathons over the last 5 years. So it's been a very exciting hackathon journey today. and I'm delighted to be here at the Call for Code event with IBM. And IBM is a long-standing persistent partner. They are our largest customer, someone we have worked with very closely since 2000, so almost 22 years. And it's a real pleasure to work with IBM in many different ways. And this is one other very important way of how we can collaborate on something that does global good. Now, here's where I want to mention that we've been part of the Call for Code from the very beginning, the first one, which was started about 5 years back. And it has been a pleasure to see how this Call for Code movement has grown over the last several years that it has been around. See, one of the things that happens when you have companies like IBM who can take front foot on some of these issues, they were able to bring in some of the leaders from all over the world, including United Nations and many other institutions who have stake in various aspects of social enterprises that we are very familiar with. And with them being part of it, and then bringing the large network of community of engineers that IBM touches through their products, we are able to do something quite phenomenal. And over the last several years, Call for Code has made a tremendous impact. This particular mission is certainly aligned with what we do at Persistent. And at Persistent for the last several years, we have focused on doing many things for coders. We think ourselves as a coder company in a way. So Call for Code aligns to what we are doing. And most recently, you would have noticed that we were awarded the Coding Powerhouse. And this is again another thing that aligns with what we do. On one hand, when we talk about coders, people always think about those coders who are making those money and all the very sort of selfish coders. But I believe that all of us are not just selfish coders. We are interested in doing good for the community. And sometimes our inability to do other things kind of makes us very insular in how we think about coding. And there is this belief that since we are staring the screen all the time, we are not doing anything useful. But the reality is far different, and I think coders can make a huge difference to the world. And I believe that this is an opportunity for us to demonstrate that not only do we like coding and we code, but we also make a difference to the world. And this is where I think this exciting opportunity of bringing in IBM Persistent Partnership, the fact that we are interested in doing social good, and the fact that we are a coder company and then bringing it all together to do code for good is really a great opportunity for all of you. And this is where I'd like to get all of you very excited about the kinds of things we can do. And I want to share a few ideas on how Persistent has been involved in some of these ideas and sort of use this to encourage you to participate, think about various things that you could be thinking about. And already this has been discussed, but I want to re-emphasize the importance of how Persistent views this and how we would like you to be part of that. And Call for Code is just an event, but doing good is not something you do for an event. You do this for life, and you do good because it feels good. Okay, so you do it not for other people, but you do it for yourself. And as a company, we do it because we believe that it is good for us and good for everyone else. So we started out with this 1% CSR in a way from 1995 when we were a 4-year-old company. So very early on, we decided that we must take our neighbors, our stakeholders along with us as part of what we wanted to do. And in 2009, we decided to formalize that relationship through Persistent Foundation. And I would encourage all of you to take a look at our Persistent Foundation website and see how you can collaborate and partner on various initiatives that we do as part of Persistent Foundation. And we have a mix of things that we do, but we clearly have a focus on 3 broad areas. So first, of course, is healthcare. And we do many projects which are related to healthcare. The second set is around education. And again, here we are focused a lot on women and children as areas where we focus on the education part of things. And then finally, we have some stuff we do around community service, where we have been thinking about more fundamental issues like climate change with some of the solar panels that we have put up on various sites, including the Hyderabad railway station and also at other places, including in various communities as well. And then, of course, we also do various things relating to water. So again, this aligns very well with some of your things. So here, I wanted to bring this up predominantly to suggest to you that if you're looking for ideas, you're looking for expertise, you're looking for people who can give you guidance on exactly how to go about some of these things, do tap on Persistent Foundation. We have the expertise in some of these areas. More importantly, we have a network of partners who could bring in some of the expertise that you might find useful as you look at your problem statements or your ideas of what you want to build with coders and coding in this context. We have also, and I'm sure some of you are here from that program, so we've been supporting women every year as part of the Kiran Girls Scholarship Program, and some of you perhaps are from that group. And how many of you are from that group here? So, okay, some small number, but I'm really delighted to see that you are here to participate in the Call for Code. And that's another premium program that we look at in terms of how we get women to become coders and be part of the ecosystem of the software engineering world that we are all part of. I am also delighted that we have today Chitra, who has joined us recently. She leads our ESG initiatives. ESG has become a very important aspect, and I'm glad finally we have all woken up to sort of focus on ESG. For the last several years, as you are all very familiar with, it's very clear to everyone that we really need to do more for our environment. We need to be more responsible for the society, and we need to be overall responsible in our practices that we follow within the company and companies at large. So this is what ESG is predominantly focused on, and I'm really very glad to see Chitra here, and she's going to lead a panel after this meeting, my session, and you'll hear more about how ESG can play a role in all of these things. Again, the reason for bringing this up is to sort of get you to think about the resources that you have access to that you can leverage to be part of the Call for Code program that you're looking to participate in. I've always been asked about, and I always refer books in any meeting that I'm at. So I'm going to give you a reference to 2 books in the context of the environmental work, and they are really nice in some sense. So one is, you should look at the book by Bill Gates, which was written last year on how to avoid climate disaster. And what Bill has done in this particular book is that he has gone ahead and defined through numbers exactly how much we need to do to get through the problems that we have with respect to the environment and green gas pollution and various other things. So how much should we do out of electricity? How much should we do out of buildings? How much should you think about in various other aspects? So that's really an interesting book. And if you're looking for interesting data that you should look at, this is one book that you should think through. And then relating this to Call for Code, I wanted to mention that, I just want you to be aware that, see, when you go make a pitch on Call for Code, right, or any hackathon, you are trying to appeal to the judges. So when you are trying to appeal to the judges, the emotions are where the judges can be swayed, okay? So the stories you have on how you define your project and how you connect it to the rest of the world and how you can create some facts from, say, a Bill Gates book and say, okay, I'm going to solve this problem and how this is going to make a difference, can make a change to your outcome as far as winners and losers are concerned. So this is just a hint. When you get 5 minutes to evaluate a project, you cannot evaluate code. You are evaluating the emotions that you create in the judges and their minds. So keep this in mind. So this is one book that you can refer to for making this happen. The other book is from an author who is a favorite of mine, and he is very well known in the VC community. That's John Doerr. And he has written a book in the past called Measure What Matters, which is a book about OKRs. And this is, again, a highly recommended book. But more recently, about 6 months back, he published a book called Speed and Scale, an action plan for solving our climate crisis now. And this is a very nice website that goes with it called speedandscale.com. Highly encourage you to take a look at it because, again, your experiments, your projects, if you ground them in some context, that helps in creating the emotions that you would want to create to get people very excited about your project and your particular activity. And I'm sure you will see the Saaf Water team who has done a brilliant job of making this possible, So again, these are areas that you might want to think about. I want to mention a few other things that I'm working on, or where I find that, so sometimes people think, oh, you do all these hackathons, you do these kinds of projects, you do these call for good. Does it really matter? Does it make a difference? Is it really useful? Why bother? And all of these kinds of things. Are these projects worth doing? So the reality, and how important is coding in all of this stuff? So, I wanted to mention a few projects where I have seen an impact personally, having been part of some of these over the years. So we started out in about 99, 2000, working with the astronomers into what is known as the virtual observatory. So it's called VO India. And we were part of the virtual observatory team. Here again, we are doing coding for good. And it was not necessarily a hackathon, but we've been working with these people for almost 20 years and building out a data system for astronomers to do astronomy from their computer screen. And the impact that we have had through virtual observatory, where large number of people in smaller towns or where you cannot get access to observatories were able to get some research done. The new discoveries that happened was simply phenomenal. Let me sort of explain the problem, because I think some of you may not have understood what this does. So in the past, what would happen is that there are these large telescopes that are available in the sky, or rather they are more available on the ground, and they are in different parts, and they observe the sky at night. Now, traditionally, astronomers would book a telescope, show up, do their observations, and then go away. Now, in those 3 days, if it was dark or if some problem happened, then sorry, you have to try again. So it was always looking for that expensive telescope. But the reality is, if the telescope is running all the time, and if it could be recording things all the time, and even if some slice of it was recorded, if you could collect that, stitch it into a digital virtual sky, that then you can use anytime, it should not matter, because you're looking at light that has left many light years back, right? So if you picked it few days later, it wouldn't make a difference. So this is how people have done some projects like this. Now I'm working on 2 other projects at the moment. One of them is what I call the India Cancer Genome Atlas, where we are trying to build a data set for cancer data across India. And again, pretty ambitious project. Again, a lot of this would not have been possible without coders, but it's coders who create data sets, can make things happen, can solve world problems. Another one I'm working on is trying to build a data set for diabetes research in India. Again, this is with a group called RSSDI, which is the Research Society for Study of Diabetes in India. So, all I'm trying to say and emphasize here is that our day-to-day work, and that's very important, that's what pays the bills, definitely is something that has a very clear focus. There is an expectation that you're solving a problem that is meant for a particular specific application. But when you look at these kinds of opportunities to say, okay, can I look beyond my day-to-day job and look for some exciting new things that can solve world problems, the satisfaction and the excitement can be amazing. And the other thing that we have tried to do in this call for code, and you would have observed this, is that we are trying to bring in teams which include students and other people as well, and we would be encouraging you to bring in other mentors or other professionals who understand this topic. You can talk to them, and this will give you an opportunity to create another dimension in your personal portfolio. And these kinds of things are what make a difference in terms of feeling good and doing good for yourself while doing good for the community through call for code. So I want to just conclude here by saying that this is a really amazing opportunity. I cannot emphasize this, and I don't know how to really make this happen for you all. I think this is a great opportunity. I would like each one of you to sign up, either to participate, to mentor, or be part of this movement. The competition is a dated thing, but I think the objective is to solve big problems that cannot be solved by just thinking in an insular way and looking at coding for good. And do this not necessarily for any other reason, but because it feels good for you to do good for everyone else. Okay, so thank you very much for being part of this, and let's go make it happen. And I just want to make one footnote. It would be nice if we can get a persistent winner. And I would think that's a good thing too. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Deshpande. So are you excited enough now? Yes. Can I get a loud noise at least? The morning one was nice. A little bit louder, please. Oh, okay, yeah. Thank you. So, couple of things, right? Before we get started to the next round of sessions, right? So, when was Call for Code initiated? Can anybody tell me? It's just a small quiz. 2018, yeah, that's right. So, what is the deadline for actually your submissions for the Call for Code? Time? So it's actually 1st November for us in India, so don't worry. It's a Pacific Standard Time, so so that's awesome. So anyone remembers the 3 books that Dr. Deshpande just suggested from the 2 authors? And Speed and Scale is the website, right? So awesome, you guys are listening. I'm happy. So let's get started. So without further ado, let me just introduce our next speakers, right? So obviously, the next session is about a panel discussion, and we have extremely amazing guests with us today to actually interact with you guys. So I would suggest that definitely catch up with them afterwards if you get the time, right? So yeah, let me have Chitra Bairegoda on the stage, right? So Chitra is the ESG head at Persistent, right? Chitra helps strategize and integrate ESG value creation at Persistent across all stakeholders. In this role, Chitra collaborates with business leaders to articulate an ESG strategy that is directly aligned with the Persistent business goals. She believes in doing small things that create meaningful change with measurable outcomes for our clients, partners, employees, communities we operate in. So Chitra has a massive 22 years experience, and she has done an environmental engineering from Mysore University, and she holds a diploma in sustainability and CSR from Sweden Institute of Management, right? So, and she has obviously worked across various industries, and to name a few, she has done a lot of ESG initiatives across organizations like Cognizant, Mindtree, Wipro, IBM, and GE. So thank you very much, Chitra. Over to you.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. Happy to see all of you here. And I passed out my engineering in the year 1999. So those days, when I opted for environmental engineering, I was not sure what I will do in the future, And my father and my friends and my, well-wishers, they said, environmental engineering doesn't have any scope in the future. Those days it was in 2000, it was IT which was booming. But still I made a choice. As Dr. Anand said, it is something you feel good about. So I chose environmental engineering because I had passion towards that, and today I feel good about it. And today we have a very interesting panel discussion. I would call upon Dr. Rama Jayanti. Rama, if you can come on the stage. Rama Jayanti is the center head and VP at SAS R&D India Private Limited with over 24 years of experience in product development and management roles. Rama has set up global teams through organic and inorganic growth. She has worked in multiple domains: content management, legal, healthcare, strategic sourcing, contract management, supplier risk assessment, and smart manufacturing. Thank you, Rama, for coming over here. Our next panel speaker is Gunjan Gupta. She is the Senior Director, Information and Data Management at Philips India. With over 20 years of experience, Gunjan heads their data programs across the enterprise and evangelizes the use of data. She also leads the simplification, automation, standardization initiative across the technology organization with the objective of enabling Philips' commitment of improving the health of 2 billion people per year by 2025. Thank you, Gunjan, for coming over here. Our next panel speaker is Swapnil Joshi, and he is the Director and Industry Principal at Infosys Smart Spaces and Sustainability Center of Excellence. And he leads the smart building practice. Swapnil has over 18 plus years of experience in various leadership roles across business strategy and planning, design, delivery operation, consulting, pre-sales, and sales functions. Swapnil helps Infosys clients and sustainability to build smart spaces solution design that foster greater collaboration, and bring in higher operational efficiency and improved human experience. Welcome, Swapnil. Our next speaker is Piyush, and Piyush is the founder of Manush Labs, and he is the recipient of 2021 Forbes 30 Under 30 Award for Social Entrepreneurship. He is passionate about the ecosystem enablement of impact entrepreneurship in resource-constrained environment. Before founding Manush Lab, Piyush was a Tata Fellow at MIT and worked with the World Bank and the government of Maharashtra to remodel rural water planning in India. Welcome, Piyush. So what you can see today in this panel? Any guess? We have a very diverse panel with equal representation of men and women. And the panel is also very diverse with respect to rich experience in the information and data management, data analytics, smart spaces, solution designing, data for good, and someone who is also mentoring startups to solve social issues. So thank you for coming over here, and today's discussion is all about how do we enable technology to solve sustainability issues. I'm sure with all of your experience, you'll motivate our young audience who is sitting here in this hall, and also encourage them to develop solutions for solving social issues. And this question is to all of you. Probably you can just take the mic one after the other. And the first question is, so what are your thoughts on the role of technology to address these sustainability challenges? Do you think it is an enabler or it's at the core of whatever we are doing today? And you can also throw a light about how you were introduced sustainability as part of your professional or your personal journey, and why is it close to your heart? Rama?
First of all, thank you for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure to be in such forums. To me, technology is both an enabler and a solution. It's very situational. I think the data, whether you look at the UN report, whether you look at anecdotal data, I mean, look at the rains in Pune this year. We've had more rain in a day than Cherrapunji itself. I mean, go back to what you learned in history, it's completely invalid now. You look at what the UN report is telling us. By 2050, there will be more plastic in the oceans than marine life. Okay? So the data is staring at you. It's time for all of us to do something. And it's no longer just a romantic idea. It's real. We are a connected ecosystem. And we need to look towards solutions so that we leave a better planet for generations to come. So to answer your question in terms of technology, I think it's an enabler when you're looking for solutions, when you're analyzing data. But in many cases, it is the solution. You look at the water purification projects that run. I don't think without technology you could do it. Same with solar panels. So it's either or both, very situational.
Thanks, Rama. So before I answer your question, Chitra, I would also like to thank Persistent and IBM for holding this in-person event. I think I'm attending an in-person event after almost 3 years, and it's really refreshing, the energy which you get from the audience, so thank you for that. Coming to your question, you asked about, how do I feel about sustainability and how's been my experience. So I've been in the industry for a very long time, and somewhere along the way, that need to connect with the larger purpose started getting stronger and stronger. After a while, money and all, everything is important, but what is it that you're doing on a day-to-day basis? And in fact, my choice of my current employer, Philips Healthcare, was primarily driven by that. They are a strong voice in the ESG space. We've been ranked number 2 as the world's most sustainable company by Wall Street Journal, I think in 2020. And that overall mission of being able to improve the health of 2.5 billion people year over year by 2025 is something that really lights a fire in my belly every morning. And I've seen sustainability evolve and mature over the past 20 years. Early on in my career, there used to be sporadic CSR activities, that one would gain a lot of satisfaction from. And the past decade or so, it's become the mainstay of any organization strategy. Like Rama mentioned, it's time to change. As corporations, we cannot continue to work in silos with an only profit purpose. We owe it to all our stakeholders, including the next generation, including the earth, to do something more meaningful. So yeah, from my side, it's more about that passion and being connected to a larger purpose that drives me towards organizations and sustainability.
Thank you. Again, I would like to start with thanking Persistent and IBM for this opportunity. And I'm going to take a step back and actually reflect on my personal journey and why I am now a part of the sustainability practice, actually building up that practice at Infosys, right? And as I reflect back and think about it, sustainability conversations tend to get philosophical most of the times. Right? We talk about what is it that we want to do, but we really do not focus on how we have to do, right? And that's where concepts like practical sustainability come into play, right? We talk about sustainability, but there's also concepts like practical sustainability. So if you really list down all the problems that are around sustainability, 50% of the world's sustainability problems today can be solved by using existing technology. So technology that has existed over the last few years, if we kind of look at it, integrate it holistically and look at how do we solve problems, 50% of sustainability problems can be solved. Now, we need to have a 360-degree approach to solving sustainability problems. And when I say 360 degrees overview, we need to focus on 4 aspects: data, technology, financials, and of course culture. So when we talk about technology as an enabler or technology as a core, right, the way we look at data, integrate data, make sense out of that data, right, will help us make decisions to be able to solve problems. And I can give multiple examples around it. We are working on at Infosys, right? We are a carbon neutral company. So whatever our operations are carbon neutral. What we've been able to do is we've been able to reduce our energy footprint by 60% over a 2008 baseline. We've been able to reduce our per capita water consumption by 64%, right? We've been able to reduce our emissions by a particular X amount. We've been able to reduce the use of single-waste plastic by 91% and so on and so forth. This was possible because we had data that allowed us to make smarter decisions. And on basis of this data, we use technology as an enabler to enable cultural change within the organization, right? And that helped us, because we saved energy, we saved money, and because we saved money, that was the money that we used to further invest into interventions that we made in our 51 million square feet worth of built environment. I started as a mechanical engineer with specialization in design, right? So I used to design heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems, and so on and so forth. And this was a time when I went to Antarctica, where I was designing the new research station for our country, Bharati. And this was a 3-month thing. And you have a beautiful lounge in Bharati where you can sit and see icebergs moving from one place to the other, right? And because I was involved in the design, I had kind of selected the right set of glass in this and that. And then there was this small little iceberg. And after a month and a half, because you are staying in 24-hour darkness, you want to go back home, right? And then you're waiting for a ship that will come and pick you up and take you to an airport, right? So when this iceberg moves from a location to a location to a B location, that's the time that you say. And when this iceberg is moving, one fine day when I wake up, I suddenly find that the iceberg has cracked. And when climate change scientists analyzed this, they came to a fact that this was happening because the mean temperature of the ocean had risen by a degree or so, which caused an iceberg to actually break, right? And that is the time where I moved from being a mechanical engineer to being actually focused on solving sustainability problems, primarily in the built environment, right? I want to speak more, lots of stories to tell, but I'll hand it over to Piyush.
So thank you, Chitra, and entire IBM and Persistent team for inviting me here. So I would like to answer the first question by talking about affordability. I think in order to create a revolution, and right now we are almost in a war-like situation, and in order to actually survive and come out of this, there has to be a revolution, and for that, the products that we use, they have to be sustainable. And if the products are affordable, they can be utilized or used by a larger audience, or the common people. So therefore, I think affordability is the most important aspect, apart from accessibility and distribution. So in terms of affordability, I think technology, and here I'm not just talking about computer science, but I'm also talking about material science and other such parts of technology which can actually help in creating products or services that can be used by a larger audience. And if a person sitting in a rural area in India can use a sustainable product without thinking twice, I think that's when we'll be in a situation to actually solve this problem. So that's the first question. And the second question, my journey in sustainability actually started almost 8-9 years ago when I was an architecture student, and I worked with this architect called architect B.V. Doshi in Ahmedabad. And he's known for his buildings which are made up of sustainable and local materials. And that's when while working with him, I realized that it's so important to use materials and ideas that are local and that have less carbon footprint. So from being an architect to being a UX designer, I also worked at IBM for some time in Germany. And then my stint at MIT, the research project I was doing, it was also completely focused on sustainability. We worked on a project with the World Bank where we were working with around 6,000 villages in Maharashtra and trying to create solutions for sustainable water planning in Maharashtra. That's the summary of my journey. And right now with Manush Labs, we are working on enabling startups that are creating climate impact. So more on that later, but thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So each one of us would have some sustainability story to tell about, and you heard about our panel speakers, what initiated and how they got into the field of sustainability and things like that. And everything revolves around culture. If you want to bring a change in sustainability, you need to have that cultural shift. And all of us would have contributed in one way or the other at homes, like switching off the lights, segregating the waste, and things like that. How do we bring technology and stitch all of these pieces together is call for code. And our next question to Rama is, before I go to the next question, Persistent, I want to talk about Persistent's environmental initiatives. We have done a lot of work and we have published this in our ESG report, first ESG report. And all of the audience who are sitting here, if you can go through our report there where we have measured a carbon footprint and said this much of carbon we are emitting. And these are some of the initiatives what we have done to make sure we reduce our carbon. So if all of you can help me in taking our carbon emission reduction targets to the next level, I would like each one of you or some of you to write to me and saying that this is what we can do at Persistent. So that is one of the action which lies on at all of you. So after this event, my ID is chitra_bairegowda@persistent.com. If you have any ideas like this, please write to me. Rama, the next question is, I would like to understand at SAS, what are some of the current sustainable projects which you are focusing on? And how do you bring data and analytics to address the challenges of sustainability in these projects?
So a little bit history about SAS. We are an analytics company, about 4 decades old, with a very strong focus on CSR, very similar to the persistent history. Within 4 or 5 years of being formed, we've been very focused in the community and good for the community. And 2 things have stayed with us over the last 4 decades or so. One is focus on education, the other is environment. And today, there are a couple of projects that we run, mostly in and around US, but some even in other parts of the world. So one thing that we have right now that we are very focused on is there's a project that we are doing with some of the international forums that are looking at sustainability in the Amazon. How do we use the power of AI and computer vision to identify proactively which areas are likely to undergo deforestation? And basis that, look at what kind of intervention is possible. So that's one project that is underway. The other thing that we are doing off of Caribbean is how do we preserve the reef there? So that's the second project. The other thing that we've tied up with many local governments and communities is how do you conserve water? And also how do we make sure that water is clean, safe, and can be recycled? So these are some of the key projects that we are participating in. The other thing Gunjan mentioned, you mentioned about persistent as well. One thing we are trying to do is how do we operate in offices where the carbon emission and the footprint can be reduced year on year. So that's a pretty important agenda for us. It's one of our OKRs, and across the world, we take great pride in saying where have we optimized and what can we do with the dollars that we have saved. To your second question, we are a analytics and data company. That's our genesis, and we continue to be leaders in that. And we believe without data, you can't make informed decisions. And data is essential for taking away perception. So much of what we do is based on data and the power of analytics. Thank you.
Thank you, Rama. And Gunjan, this question is for you now. So how sustainability is linked to your overall business when we talk about the environment and social aspect of business, how it is integrated to business strategy? And second question for you is, what are the transferable skills and technology that upcoming developers can leverage? So we have a lot of young audience here, and if you can tell them how to use or bring in technology to solve the social issue.
Sure, I can try. So like I mentioned, Philips is a really strong voice on the whole sustainability and ESG agendas. So our entire ESG strategy, so these terms are used interchangeably. And just a little bit of background, while sustainability is a very broad theme, ESG is a concept that was kind of promoted by the UN when they came up with their, I think, 17 focus areas for sustainability, I think in 2015 or so. And that gave us a framework to think about sustainability, to form specific goals and objectives, and also measure it uniformly. ESG stands for environment, social, and governance. And we at Philips have very strong objectives that we need to achieve by 2030 and 2025, depending on the objective in each of these areas. So the 3 key themes that we are driving across ESG are circular economy, which is more about recycling and using our medical equipment, looking at suppliers who would be on board with this strategy, a conscious disposal of waste parts and outdated equipment. So circular economy is one. Second is access to healthcare. The specific objective that we have, apart from improving the lives of 2.5 billion people worldwide, we also want to grant healthcare access to 300 million people in underserved economies by 2030. So that is the second. The third is climate action, become carbon neutral zero disposal in landfills, so on and so forth. So once you look at these objectives, it's easy to see that our ways of working, our choice of suppliers, our products, our entire strategy is actually pivoting around sustainability and ESG. Coming to the second part, wherein you mentioned how is technology and my role enabling all of that. So some of the specific things that we have is access to healthcare. And this is through telemedicine, tele-ICUs, which is enabled by data as well as digitization. There are a lot of automation and simplification activities on across the organization in our processes to ensure that our supply chain is robust and resilient with zero wastage. In terms of transferable skills, I think it was already mentioned by you, I think, what is needed. So in our case, we've made extensive use of data and analytics to provide products that are really listening to the customer, that are really helping the customer. There is digitization, there is RPA, there is AI, ML to guide decisions through the supply chain. So, one are these tangible skills, and one can find the list of it everywhere. But I think I'll go back to my initial point. The most important transferable skill or attribute in my mind is having that passion and being able to relate to the purpose of the organization. I think if it's something that excites you, if that's something that you can relate to, the how will come. It'll be easy to see how is your particular role kind of tying to the overall objective and what is it that you need to do it better.
Thank you, Gunjan. And Swapnil, you talked about, the existing technology which can be used to, solve some of the sustainability issues. What have you seen the trends evolving in terms of sustainability today and how it can solve the social issue? That's the first question. And the second question to you is how we can leverage this technology to solve resource management related issues, climate change related issues, and reduce pollution, prevention, and things like that.
I hope I'll be able to retain the entire length of the question and kind of do justice to that. But yeah, again, I'm going to take 2 minutes and again tell you stories, right? So again, and this is from an Infosys perspective, right? And I'm going to talk about what Infosys has achieved in the past few years since 2008 till 2020, try and bring in elements of what we've done. In 2008, we made a voluntary commitment to the UN to be a carbon neutral company by 2020, and this is 30 years ahead of the Paris Agreement, right? So people have committed to be to be net zero or carbon neutral by 2050, I believe. Now, we started with, and we talked a lot about data, right? And when Rama was talking about data, there was one thing that was continuously knocking in my head, right? If you torture data enough, it will confess to anything. But if you respect data, it will give you insights that will help you make decisions, right? And that's essentially what I call as the essence of practical sustainability, right? And people who've read about sustainability will also understand and appreciate that when I said when you torture data, I was also referring to what most of the companies do and tie back to greenwashing and stuff like that, right? Not wanting to wade into controversial things here. 2008, we started installing energy meters in our 51 million square feet worth of space, right? And we've close to 60,000 energy meters that we have installed across our campuses. Would there be a better way of doing it? Yes. We picked up information from so we have sensors, we have different IoT devices, we have energy meters that tie back into a central platform that picks up information, analyzes this information, takes data and then converts it into useful information for design, right? Now, how do you pick up information from the field? How do you normalize this information? How do you make relevant sense of this information? How do you translate this information to be able to get the relevant insights is what has been enabled by technology. That's one. Second, we looked at, it is very important for all of us to dealing CSR with sustainability, right? More than enough, more than a lot of times, sustainability projects are undertaken under the CSR program. And personally, I have a very serious objection to it. In our journey to being a carbon neutral company, under the sustainability practice, we have taken 3 projects or 3 major themes, right? First was energy efficiency, right? So we looked at our buildings, we looked at real estate infrastructure and ran energy efficiency programs for us to be able to reduce per capita energy consumption in our building or in our buildings, right? This was because we then started looking at the equipment that went into the buildings to be more efficient. We looked at efficiently operating these systems. We looked at comfort conditions within the spaces, and we also included health and wellness for our employees, right? We are a little over 3 lakh employees today. We then looked at KPIs and defined a set of KPIs that actually measured our performance over a period of time. One of the examples that I would want to give is when you look at a building, right, the energy performance index of a building, the national benchmark is 210 kilowatts per meter square per year. Feel free to reach out to me to get to know the nitty-gritties of this. So 210 is the national benchmark. Infosys buildings operate at 75 kilowatt hour per meter square per year, which is and this is primarily because we picked up information data, converted into useful information using technology, and then implemented these features. The second aspect was looking at renewable energy, right? So we have 60 megawatt worth of in-house solar panels that we've installed across our campuses. Sira in Karnataka happens to have 40 megawatt worth of solar panels. And then we also said that because we are focused on sustainability, we should also do something good for the community, and this is delinked from our CSR initiatives, and that's where we ran the carbon offset projects. And again, 3 carbon offset projects where we did rural electrification using solar, we ran biogas projects, and then we also ran efficient cook stuff programs that were all a part of the carbon offset programs that we ran. All of this is enabled by data. All of this is information that ties back into what we have as a central command center, where all of these initiatives are measured over a period of time.
Thank you, Swapnil. And Piyush, tell us more about Manush Lab, and how do you motivate our young audience here? Because you are also one of the list, one of the member in 30 under 30 Forbes list. So all of us would be excited to know about it. And the second question for you is, given that sustainability is not that important aspect in the way we do today, or even some of our businesses also do not think about it, and how do you attract your corporate clients at Manush Labs?
Yeah, thanks, Chitra. So I started this company 2 years ago when I was still a student. And at that time, the goal was very simple, that there are so many, climate issues, social impact issues that are happening around the world. And at the same time, there are these large corporates who are like 70% of the GHG emissions in the world are caused by large corporations. So I knew that if we have to solve this problem, we have to attack it heads on, and large corporations are the way to go ahead. If we can somehow help them achieve their sustainability goals, we can make a larger dent in this, effort. So, and then on the other hand, there are so many amazing startups and technologists who are sitting on really great ideas, waiting to be unleashed. So our idea was to combine these two parts of the puzzle, bring relevant technologies and sustainability solutions to the large corporations so that their mission and their sustainability goals can be achieved in an easier way. So that's what we do. Right now we are working with, in the past 2 years, we have worked with multiple startups, 24 startups who have worked on amazing ideas. And right now we are working with the Aditya Birla Group, specifically with one of their companies called Hindalco, which is the world's largest aluminum company by revenue. And what we are trying to do with them is helping them achieve two of their goals. One is plastic replacement. So they use around 5,000 tons of plastic every year. And what we are doing is we are helping them replace that entire 5,000 tons of plastic with innovative biodegradable materials. With the help of startups, right now we have around 8 startups who we have selected for this particular challenge. 4 of those startups are from India, and the other 4 are from other countries like Indonesia, Israel, and Japan, and other countries. And the other problem is of industrial waste. So these guys create around 700,000 tons of industrial waste that comes out of their factories, and mostly it goes into the land and pollutes our environment. So our idea was that if we can somehow use this waste and create it into useful products, it will be a win-win for everyone. The startups can use that waste and sell it and generate revenue. At the same time, the corporates can actually get rid of their waste and also get financial benefits out of it. So this is what we are doing right now. This is our current project, but over the next months and years, we hope to work with many more corporates and help them achieve their sustainability goals with the help of startups. And I hope we can support more and more startups and empower more startups who are sitting with amazing ideas and at the same time solve large climate issues. So thank you.
Thank you, Piyush, and wish you all the very best. From our panel speakers, you heard about why data is important, how we can analyze this data and build solutions which help to solve the sustainability issues or the social issues. Now it's time for questions. So if you have any questions, you can call upon your name and then ask any one of our member here. So anything you can ask. You can ask, how to start, using data to initiate my code. Any simple, silly questions also you can ask. Can you give the mic there?
First of all, thank you all the panelists. It was really enriching listening to you all. We are talking about sustainability from industry standpoint, water and all, but technology over time has created a lot of electronic waste that is piling up, and being India, it's one of the dump yard, we would say, for other countries to come into India and put e-waste. So in our, that's one point where how do we look at e-waste problem, which is evolved because of the technology footprint of various organizations or countries moving towards technology. Second point is, aligned to this question, second is this e-waste issue, how do we bring sustainability as a business element to it? See, large organizations do contribute large, higher level of GDP to across the countries, but every country has a good percentage of small companies who do not look at, or which I feel do not look at sustainability as a business element in it. How do we thread that gap also? Because this whole initiative would be much more holistic in nature, and everybody feels that this is really important and it can be incorporated as a cultural element in organizations. How do we do these two?
Hi, that's a really thought-provoking question. Thanks. I can attempt based on what I've observed at Philips. So I agree, e-waste is a big problem. I think one way is that we are trying to solve for it is what we call the circular economy. It's about reuse and recycle of our equipment, and we work with partners and suppliers to ensure that they are on board with that element. And in fact, from a sales perspective, Um, we've put an objective of generating almost 25% of our revenue through circular economy. So basically, we will be favoring suppliers who are recycling parts and reusing them. We would try to sell products that have refurbished parts with them. And we will also do very responsible disposal of waste and outdated products. So 0% contribution to the waste landfills is one of the goals that we are driving towards. So yeah, I think from my experience, it has been more top-down. And once it's tied to people's KPIs, from a salesperson's perspective, okay, 25% of your revenue, did it come from the circular economy, yes or no? It makes it very objective, and it kind of forces people to consciously think about it.
Thank you, Gunjan.
I have a question. I'm Pankaja from Persistent, and I think my question will help all of us over here. And Piyush may be able to answer this since you have done research as well. Now, let's say you have an idea for a project, problem statement. How do you test out the prototype?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I think that's the foundation of any good startup, which is which in our language we call it user research. So if you have any idea, before you build the actual product, you have to talk to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people in order to refine the idea. And once you refine the idea, you build the prototype and then you test it out with the people. And what this will do is this will tell you so many different aspects, and it will also help you refine your problem in a way that you never thought before. And so in design, we use this concept called 5 whys. So once you talk to a potential customer about your solution, you constantly keep asking them why, and through this you dig deeper into the problem. And only after you have completely understood the problem, you will be able to solve it in a better way. So that's the fundamental step of creating any solution that is useful. And yeah, hope that answers your question.
First row.
Thank you everyone thank you for the panel for advance to answer my question. So my question is about so we know that corporations emit a large amount of GHG in the world, but at the same time, a lot of this is driven by policy. And without policy, there is no real external push for corporations often to do things. I mean, a lot of this progress is because there has been activism that has guided policy that we are witnessing. My question is, at an India level, because you guys are leading, chapters of sustainability in big Indian companies, how do you see the ecosystem from the corporates interact with government or affect climate activism in a way that it shapes the policy and changes the discussion from what we are focusing right now at a national level to a more climate conscious discussion?
Yeah, I can attempt to answer that, but the only thing that I would do is remove the activism part from the question, right? Let's not get there. I'm on the subcommittee of the Bureau of Indian Standards for revamping the technology standard, for revamping the sustainability standards in the country, right? And this essentially gets me to speak with multiple people across today in the country. 5 levers that you should essentially focus on: policy, and that's something to do with government and what you intend to do from ensuring sustainable outcomes. Innovation, research and development, technology, and human capital. And the integration of these 5 levers is essentially what transforms into what policy, as Dr. Raghunath Mashelkar says, right, to do more with less for more. right? And I was speaking to him the other day, and he said, Swapnil, whatever you do, you need to ensure that you have policies and programs that enable you to do more with less for more. So to do more with less resource consumption for the larger societal aspect. Three aspects that I talk about when it comes to sustainability, right? 3 Ds. Decarbonization, where you essentially reduce your carbon footprint. Multiple interventions that you can do includes policy. Democratization ensures equitable access to all sections of the society such that the benefits of decarbonization reach the common people to be able to ensure that you have a sustainable green planet and so on and so forth. And then digitalization, which essentially encompasses technology, which weaves decarbonization and aspects of democratization and the 5 levers that I spoke about into one holistic sustainable outcome for the society. I hope that answers your question.
Any more questions?
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, it's been a very great thing to be a part of this big assembly, I guess. Being a part in front of Anand sir himself. Actually, I just wanted to be in particular with technologies. How when technologies will be a part of sustainable environment. For being particular, let's say government has initialized. Each mobile one charger. It will be implemented soon, and would it be? It should it be wireless or wired chargers? And the other thing, how Li-Fi can be sustainable for the environment?
So again, I'm sorry, Chitra. Again, I'm not sure if I get your question right, but because I love to tell stories, I'm going to make an make an attempt at this, right? I've been again done numerous things across the past few years, right? From constructing buildings to actually sitting and coding and writing application engineering programs for HVAC and so on and so forth. And again, as I said, initiatives that essentially ensure that you reduce your carbon footprint are initiatives and technologies that we need to look at. So whether it is a single charger, single phone, or wireless or wired, depends on all it boils down to the carbon footprint that it'll make, right? And that's one focus area that you need to look at. Again, I'm trying to attempt that. What we have done at Infosys is, the core team has written a book that's called as Practical Sustainability. Right, this is a book that's released by the Infosys Knowledge Institute, written by Corey Glickman, who is the global head for sustainability, and Jeff Kavanaugh, who heads the Infosys Knowledge Institute. We've written a few chapters there. This book has 55 different frameworks, which you can pick, code, use technology, and then implement it. So 50 frameworks available for you, and all your questions around sustainability more or less will find a place in these 50 frameworks. So I would kind of encourage you to look at that. Not sure if I answered your question, but I did make an attempt on that.
I just wanted to add one more thing is there's also a lot on reuse. So there's a lot of focus and technology solutions that are needed on recycling and reuse. So something that you may want to look into as well.
Yeah, we'll take this last question, please.
Yeah, so while companies, organizations, they do their huge bit, but as an individual, as a family, I mean, is there a quick takeaway that what can be done to, support this initiative? Because there's a lot of pushback even from families, even for segregating waste and all that, So anything on that?
I'll just give you my perspective. Be a responsible citizen, do your bit. There are a lot of initiatives, especially if you like touring. I'm a big tourist. I love to go to offbeat tracks. And what I do personally is be a very responsible tourist. I bring back my waste, do whatever the locals do. minimize introducing something that is not in the region so that you don't impact the ecosystem that is already fragile. And recycle water. Water is the next gold. I think we take it for granted, but that definitely requires a lot of touch and care so that for generations to come, the planet is in good hands.
Again, I'll want to, and I keep on going back to Dr. Mashelkar here, right? And I still remember those multiple drives that I've had with him, ferrying him to and fro, right? One very important thing that he spoke about when he talked about what is it that we can do to ensure that our kids behave in the way we want to is he said whatever our mothers fed us was green, right? So the food that we ate was always green. I mean, we didn't have pizzas at that point in time, right? So we had to do with the conventional food that we had. It is very important that we ensure that there is a culture of sustainability in, and again, this tends to get philosophical, but I'll try and bring in some elements of technology as I speak, right? It is very important that we have an element, we have culture within our families, within the small communities that we operate out of, which focuses on sustainability. And there have to be very genuine attempts to ensure that we inculcate these cultures, right? There are choices that we have to make, and living sustainability is essentially to do with the choices that we make, and we make every day. Very small technological interventions that you can do is put in, occupancy sensors in your homes, right? If your kids if I don't turn off lights, after a particular amount of time, the lights will go off, right? So you're actually getting technology to help you solve a few problems that essentially contribute to sustainability, right?
Yeah, I just have a slightly different opinion. The ones who have teenagers here, I'm sure a very small population of people, I'm one of them, and I've realized that they seem to know more than I do about sustainability and environment. And my son would have never approved of me taking this plastic bottle. On their own, they have their metal bottles, which they reuse. The other thing is this smart fashion bandwagon that they want to get off of. So while we have a lot of brands around, I'm noticing more and more of a trend to not go to those brands and kind of reuse your clothes or stick with them for a while longer, which is great. The other thing I think is important is to be accepting from a parent's perspective, because I am from the old school and I can't figure out how are people able to study digitally. There are no notes. They're taking notes on their iPad, studying on the computer all the time. And for a while it was like, how can you do it? How can you not have notebooks? And how can you not write? But this is what it is, so all I'm saying is I think we are in good hands if we just take the lead and kind of follow that.
Thank you, Gunjan. And just to summarize our panel discussion, sustainability practices and solutions need to benefit all communities and societies. And we believe technology is key as it can provide effective, scalable solutions to address sustainability challenges. And thank you, panel members, for coming here. I would also like to mention NASSCOM, who helped us to put this panel together. Kalpesh is here from NASSCOM. Thank you, Kalpesh.
Awesome. Thank you, Chitra. Thank you, all the panel members. So right now we are going to head into a 10-minute break. But before getting into the break, I just have 2 points which are very important. Number one is, as you see over there, ready to take the call, register your team, right? So this register your team is specifically for registration of mentorship, right, within Persistent. So that's number one. The actual registration for the call for code has to be on the website which Soumitra just mentioned, callforcode.org, right? So once you go there, get started. So that's the two important difference. And the second is that we'll head into a 10-minute break, but exactly 10:47, We'll get started with the next set of panel discussions, right? We have Saaf Water who's coming on stage after this. So really important. Then we have one other technical session. And after that, we have the most important, I think, is innovation and design thinking, which will give you an idea of how to go about your solution. So very interesting stuff coming up. So see you guys at 10:48. Thank you. And yes,
we're all connected. We share a common bond. To our planet, to each other. But now is the time that we need to come together. Because it's our ideas and actions that have the greatest power to make an impact, around the block or across the globe. What started out as a single developer challenge has turned into a global movement of problem solvers and innovators united in strength by code, using open tech as a force for good. Our creativity has helped us challenge Mother Nature, stand up to climate change, and rise above hate. By joining forces and harnessing technology, we're building life-changing solutions. From Barcelona to Brisbane, Nepal to Nigeria, giving hope for generations to come by tackling the world's greatest challenges. Because together, we can make a difference. Together, we can answer the call. We're all connected. We share a common bond. To our planet, to each other. But now is the time that we need to come together. Because it's our ideas and actions that have the greatest power to make an impact, around the block or across the globe. What started out as a single developer challenge has turned into a global movement of problem solvers and innovators united in strength by code, using open tech as a force for good. Our creativity has helped us challenge Mother Nature, stand up to climate change, and rise above hate. By joining forces and harnessing technology, we're building life-changing solutions. From Barcelona to Brisbane, Nepal to Nigeria, giving hope for generations to come by tackling the world's greatest challenges. Because together, we can make a difference. Together, we can answer the call.
Hi, I'm Rohit Bari. Since I belong from the pandemic-affected 2022 batch, Persistence Career Compass has been a total lifesaver. Be it soft skills or core coding languages, the program consists of all the training aspects which are mandatory to switch from campus to corporate environment. I would like to thank Persistence Systems for giving me this opportunity.
Hi everyone, I'm Isha Harine. I'm extremely glad to share my experience at Persistent. Being a budding professional, this internship gave me the opportunity to understand and adjust to life outside the college bubble.
Welcome to Persistent, a trusted digital engineering and enterprise modernization partner for global software companies and enterprises. Persistent is a great place to unleash your full potential.
Accelerate your growth both professionally and personally.
Impact the world in powerful, positive ways using the latest technology.
Enjoy collaborative innovation with diversity and work-life well-being at the core.
Unlock global opportunities to work and learn with the industry's best.
Persistent operates as one global diverse team which promotes innovation and learning. Come join us.
See beyond, rise above.
We're all connected. We share a common bond. To our planet. To each other. But now is the time that we need to come together. Because it's our ideas and actions that have the greatest power to make an impact, around the block or across the globe. What started out as a single developer challenge has turned into a global movement of problem solvers and innovators united in strength by code, using open tech as a force for good. Our creativity has helped us challenge Mother Nature, stand up to climate change, and rise above hate. By joining forces and harnessing technology, we're building life-changing solutions. From Barcelona to Brisbane, Nepal to Nigeria, giving hope for generations to come by tackling the world's greatest challenges. Because together, we can make a difference. Together, we can answer the call.
So welcome back, right? I hope the audience doesn't run out. I see a lot of bags here, so I assume everyone is still here, right? So thank you. And as I said, we are going to get started with the next part of the session, right? Which is the panel discussion with Saaf Water. And we have some video for you, so let's get started with that. And after that, I'll hand it over to Alicia for the interview, right? Thank you.
There are millions affected due to contaminated groundwater, and we found this problem is not limited to a particular area. It is a global problem. One of our team members' mother fell ill due to
are excited to be here, and we have Saaf Water here on the stage with us. But before we get started, we're just waiting for a quick video about this great team and learn a little bit more about them. So stay tuned for the video. I guess not. So we've got a little bit of technical difficulties. It happens. So let's just go ahead and get started. And first of all,
there are millions affected due to contaminated groundwater, and we found this problem is not limited to a particular area. It is a global problem. One of our team members' mother fell ill due to accidental consumption of contaminated groundwater.
It turned into a very severe health complication for the next 3 months. We could have averted this if there was a system in place that could have pre-warned about the degradation, not just to the authorities but to the entire community. We have designed Saaf Water, an open source AI IoT platform that consists of a cellular enabled hardware and an intuitive user friendly dashboard.
The hardware consists of various sensors. These sensors regularly checks upon various water quality parameters, and this data is sent on the cloud. We are using artificial intelligence to predict the circumstances in which water quality can go bad.
In the rural regions, majority of them aren't connected to the internet, especially the old age population who do not own a smartphone, or if they do not have access to an active internet connection. We have designed Saaf Water dashboard to communicate over SMS the water quality and purification methods, and also our hardware consists of an on-site visual indicator which indicates the water quality on the site itself.
We all met for the first time during high school internship at IBM Bangalore.
We stayed in touch and have been actively working on various projects.
The common thing that binds us together is our quest to work on different problems and come up with the solutions.
We are very confident that the processes and goals of Saaf Water platform will definitely solve this global problem of safe drinking water.
Wow, great. That's really nice. All right, thank you. So before we get started, why don't we do a quick round of introductions? And so let's go around the panel.
Thank you, Alicia. First of all, thank you very much, Persistent and IBM and the other partners of the Call for Code ecosystem for giving us this opportunity to share a word about Saaf Water and how we started. And I am Rishikesh Bhandari. I am the team member of Saaf Water. With me, we have all the team members. I'm currently a student as well as a full-time. I'm full-time at Saaf Water too. I'm a student at IIT Madras and a product design major at a university in Paris.
Hello everyone, I am Jay Ayarkar and I am from Pune and I am full-time member of Saaf Water.
Hi, I am Sanket Marathe. I am currently doing my engineering in Goa and I am also a full-time member along with them.
Namaskar Pune, kasa gay? Hello everyone, my name is Satyam Prakash and I am part of the team Saaf Water. I am also a student at IIT Madras. Rishikesh and me, we both are classmates. And I look for hardware development in the team. So this was about me.
Hello everyone, I'm Manikanta and I'm a student also currently, and I also handle Saaf Water work along with my studies. I'm a business analytics and a design student from a university in Pune called Flame University.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to hear about a little bit about your backgrounds, where you're from, and what you're doing now. And it's really exciting, right, as university students to participate in something so impactful. So just to get started, I know we've heard a little bit from the video, but how did you hear about Call for Code and what motivated you to participate? Who would like to take that?
I'll take this. So like this story might be very funny and you might also laugh at me, but this all started from a t-shirt. So in 2018, we all attended an internship at IBM Bangalore. So over there, we saw many people wearing the first Call for Code t-shirt. So we were very curious to know like what is Call for Code all about and what is it like exactly. So we asked them and then we came to know a lot about Call for Code and what it stood for. We also came to know about Project Owl, the first winner of the Call for Code challenge, and how the whole Call for Code ecosystem helped them to scale and foster their to accelerate the development from simple idea to a solution which has is impacting a lot of people. So this is what we loved a lot about Call for Code and its ecosystem. And in 2018, we all were below 18, so we couldn't participate in Call for Code. And when all we turned 18, and like coincidentally, when we came across Saaf Water, and we started working on it, and then we participated in the Call for Code challenge, and we ended up winning the challenge. So this was all.
Nice. I like that. It all started with a t-shirt, so never underestimate the t-shirts. Nice. Very good. So one of the things that what happens within the challenge, right, is finding that right team, and you all seem to gel and work really well together. So can you give the audience a little bit of insight of how do you form a really good team? What worked for you all?
Yes, definitely. Hello. So as Sanket was telling that we all met for the first time during high school internship at IBM in Bangalore. So yes, we shared some common interest and common skills, and that's how we gelled together and stay connected. So this was our story. Although there are many ways one can find, people with whom they can team up. If you are in a college or university or working in an organization, you can find your co-participants who are your classmates or your colleagues and team up with them. And second and the most important way that you can adopt is joining the Call for Code Slack channel. I think once you register for Call for Code from the website, you get direct access to the Slack channel. And there you will find many like-minded people and technocrats with whom you can communicate and form the team. Other than this, something that I would like to give you suggestion in case you are looking for participation, definitely you should participate. Number one, having the right people with right skills is very important. So once you have a basic idea that in what problem you are going to solve or what domain you are going to work upon, look for the people who are equipped with right kind of skill sets. Another thing that you should we should take care of it is every team member should understand each other and they should respect each other's opinions. Differences is there at every point of time. Rather, we also faced situations where something I liked and my other teammates might not agree. But at the end of the day, we have to look at the broader picture, and that's how we have to decide and take steps ahead. And another thing that we should consider is don't feel shy to communicate with people and talk about your ideas. I think in this earlier panel discussion, a gentleman from Manush Lab, founder of Manush Lab, he was telling that once you have the idea and if you want to take it to the field, you communicate with around 50 users. So this is Call for Code is kind of a hackathon. They are not expecting that you should have a 100% foolproof product. But when you are working on your idea, be in touch with the actual users who are going to utilize your solution, and be connected to them, listen to them, and how they feel about your, the solution that you are working upon. So yes.
Thank you. I really appreciate that that thought and insight on the diversity of thought within the group, and making sure that you have that North Star, right, which is what's the big picture, because everyone's different. And so respect everyone's opinions and ideas and thoughts, but really using that big picture, the solution, the problem, kind of bringing it home and making it gel. So congratulations on really using that to make a great solution, right? And coming from a really good team. So let's talk a little bit about the solution. How did the team come up with the concept of Saaf Water?
Yes. So the incident that triggered the idea of Saaf Water happened in December of 2020, and that's very connected to our personal lives. So Rishikesh, who is sitting here, his mother had unknowingly consumed contaminated water, and she fell ill, and that severity lasted for almost 3 months. And when we all got together and discussed about this, we understood that each one of us had somewhat or other impact of water contamination, directly or indirectly upon us. And when we were in fact surprised to know that 1 in 3 people do not have access to safe drinking water in the world. And furthermore, if we see, over 50% of the world's population is dependent on groundwater for drinking purposes. And seeing all of this, we had this thought that we actually need something which would monitor water everywhere, and which could come in a simple platform so that everyone can know what quality of water they are using. And in fact, there were also reports that said 75% of Pune's underground water is contaminated, and there were also reports that said Pune is second in place for groundwater contamination in the state. So none of us know what the situation is right now. So what we thought is, we wanted to build something that is, I want to know what's the water quality under our foot right now, like in a click of a button. Would that happen? No. So in such sort of a situation, we researched further. We researched further and further, and we talked with users. And one such user actually told us that people from one region do not buy rice from the other region where a river flows by, because that river is contaminated. And this actually has a lot of socio-economic impact. There are also villages in India where you can't put water in a metal bucket because the metal bucket itself will get ruined. And we have also seen about villages which are people don't usually visit their relatives in villages where the water contamination is prevalent, and people don't marry people from such villages. So water is so basic for all of us. It's so basic for life on earth. It's so basic for human health and survival, that human health and survival cannot be undermined. We have seen it through the pandemic. We have seen how economies have been impacted, how companies have been impacted. And and by diving further, water is something which is very much connected to our social interactions, right? Like you could see, people are not marrying, so the village example which I have just given. So in such sort of a scenario, we think it's really, really important to monitor water. It's really important to know about water and predict water quality. And so that's how we have started upon this journey and started upon this concept. And we actually thought of Saaf Water not as a product. We haven't seen it as another startup or another company. We have seen Saaf Water as something which the youth of the nation or the youth of the world is building to write their own future. So they could protect and they could help their loved ones. So this sort of a problem which we could see, which is miles away from us, but which does exist, doesn't come to us. So that's how we are seeing. And yes. Thank you.
Just to add upon what Manikanta was saying, in the earlier panel discussion, Dr. Deshpande just said that tech for good, some concept of tech for good, and that's tech for good. Our journey in tech for good is not only limited to call for code when we started our journey. Even if we would have not won the competition, we would have tried and take it ahead and tried to solve the problem uh, in and create a solution for the world. So a small thing that I would like to mention that we all are participating in this call for code, and definitely we think that we should win, but sometimes rather majority of the teams fail to win the competition. So don't stop your journey, continue with whatever solution you have, because maybe that solution is not fit at the current point of time, but later if you further refine it, it can solve some of the greatest problem that the world is facing. I hope that this motivates you and fire you up to participate in the Call for Code Global Challenge 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. Very insightful. Thanks so much. Looking at that, the problem, right, not only affects you, it affects the ones that you love with clean water. And I think it was earlier in the panel discussion, it resonated with me that water is the next gold, right? So what's such a important problem to solve. And so thank you both for your comments, really, really insightful about not giving up and keep working to try to solve for some of these problems. So let's change a little bit and delve into the technology. And so how does Saaf Water, how does it work and what technologies did you use?
Yes, so as Mani said, even Satyam said, before working on the solution or before working on how do we solve the problem, we first went to our users. We talked to people who face the problem. We understood what they face the problem, what problem exactly, how the problem impacts them, how at what sequence they get the problem, and what impacts it have created. So what we've observed here was the problem is not availability of purification methods or processes. There are purifiers available. There are various projects where they can get involved and get their water cleaned, or even at a very alternative way, they can just go and get water from another source, which is clean, which is probably clean. So what we've observed was the first challenge that people faced is getting the right information at the right time, along with the right information on ways to improve the water source. And that's what we tried to build first with the platform. And we took this as the core aim or the goal of the entire project, and then worked outwards towards the problem. At every steps of our product development and product design, we interacted with the users. We showed our solution to our users, and we evaluated it. That's how we went ahead with the product development. Initially, we started with solving the communication problem, but ended up solving monitoring problem as well as prediction problem also. In fact, if you see, there is no, most of the places, there is no unified platform where water quality information is available. With our platform, we are planning to solve this problem by installing IoT devices at various water sources. Earlier, we only supported groundwater sources, but now we are also supporting other water sources too. And monitor this in real time and analyze for physical, chemical, and biological contamination using machine learning. With this data, we can forewarn our users on when the water quality would be, when the water quality would go bad, when there can be degradation in the source for a span of 1 month, and how they can improve the water source, and also provide the right purification method for the right contamination. So that's how we solve the problem. Of course, technology is a great tool, but ultimately what matters is speaking to the users, getting understanding what they actually need, and building around them, because they are the they are ultimately who's going to use, and it's the problem of the masses.
Thank you. Very good. So has Saaf Water been tested or implemented?
Yeah, so around September 2021, we came up with the first prototype of Saaf Water. And then to evaluate all aspects of our platform and to further correct the shortcomings in development process only. we decided to implement Saaf Water in a phased manner. So we came up with something called L series tests. So there would be L1 to L5 tests, where we would interact with wide demographics and to evaluate all the aspects of our platform. So we in the last week only we did our L3 test in Goa, where we connected with a lot of users, understood their needs, and we understood what problem they're facing, how our solution is working, and how we can make an impact in their lives. Also, to mention about whether the Saaf Water has been tested. So in that case, we have tested our Saaf Water against the current industry systems such as lab test. And in that case, I am very happy to inform that the accuracy level of Saaf Water is 98% with the error rate of plus minus 2%.
Wow, that's super impressive. Very, very nice. Well, we've come kind of to the close, and we've got a little short on time, but what I'd like to ask everyone one question, and that if you could leave with the audience, we can go around. So any tips, or as we say in the States, secret sauce do you have to give to our audience today regarding getting involved with Call for Code or building a solution?
So I wouldn't say we would give more tips or suggestions or any advice, because ultimately any solution that you would be building, you would be knowing it much more better than us. Of course, the first very important point I would say is, as even I mentioned earlier, even Satyam and Manikanta also mentioned, that is talking to users. What we've observed is most of the time we fall into the trap of building our solutions and including X and Y technologies. Remember one thing, technology is a tool to achieve something, and the users are the person who are going to evaluate your solution. It's the it's the end goal. So always build your solution around the user. Talk to the user, do a lot of interviews, collect data, document every aspects, especially in UX and even the UI. When you evaluate a UI, it's always better that you find out how your user would navigate to your platform, how the user would find things that you want them to interact with. How would you make the user stay on the platform and provide you the data that can help you improve the platform ahead? So always talk to your users, always interview, collect more data from the user. The next point I would want to say is be agile in your development. At least during our time, during the call for code period, it ended at 31st, the end of July month or August. Right now you have more time, but still, again, you can. The call for code panel is not also expecting a full-fledged product as such. What is more important is how better you solve the problem. So just try to come at a stop point, as well as be agile in your development with whatever feedbacks you get. The last point that I would want to say is, since call for code is centered towards open source tech and the community, try to make the best use of open source, as well as try to make your platform more communicable, because eventually you have to even get some development from outside, because we all are not good at we all are not good at all the things that we do. Sometimes some person outside your team could be better than you, and there should be a medium where people who can contribute in a better way can integrate with your systems. Gone are the days where you have your team and your team only works on your product. We have to this generation is a generation where the communities can build, can help, and can prosper towards a community driven solution. Businesses can build around it. It can be sustainable, but it's all up to our perspective on how we do that. And call for code ecosystem always promotes this. In fact, right now we are building our open source part of Saaf Water. And once we are ready, along with the ecosystem that the Call for Code provides, be it the partnership with Linux Foundation and more, we will eventually get them and successfully implement the community suggestions and various efficiencies that can be brought into the platform. So these are the points that I have. I think Satyam has some more points.
Yeah. So I would like to present my views since I am a student at IIT Madras. So every week or more frequently we get to see various kinds of hackathons that are being organized in our university. Most of the time that why a group of students or a team feel that we should not participate is that they don't get access to the resources that are required to build up their project. But this call for code is a whole different kind of thing. You will get access to many cloud resources directly from the IBM platform and their partner organizations, and you can utilize those resources to build up your project. And yes, as Mr. Joshi from Infosys was saying, that sometimes a new product or a new idea can be built up using existing technology or existing resources. I totally agree with that. All kind of resources are available on the internet, and you can take use of that and build up your solution. Another advantage that why you should go for call for code is the amazing community access that you get. I remember while building our project, we once facing a problem for power isolation kind of thing. Since I am a hardware lead, so I know I was facing that problem. We asked the community members there, and we got help from community members on the Call for Code Slack channel, and that's how it helped us in our journey. So yes, these are my views, and definitely I'll encourage every one of you to participate in Call for Code 2020-22. Thank you.
Yeah, and one last thing which I forgot, unfortunately. Remember one thing: don't participate in the idea that you would want to win the competition. What matters is the solution that you are building. Today, we are building a solution for the 1.1 billion people who are facing the water contamination challenge, along with people around, along with partners that were provided through Call for Code. You will be building the next billion people's problem solution. So remember one thing: no matter you win, you lose, or even if you don't participate for that matter. I mean, I would encourage you participate for this challenge, but build the solution to solve the problem. I mean, even if you lose, you are not losing anything. You are actually gaining a lot of things, because one, you are having an amazing team with whom you can gel well. You have a better understanding of your team's skills and the way they perform well with you, with the goals that you have in common. And if the solution is appropriate for the problem, then you have a problem then you have a great solution that is solving the problem. So don't take the intention of winning. Go ahead for building a solution that will solve a problem. So that's what Tech for Good means. And of course, there are a lot of companies, there are a lot of organizations that are around the world. I would even like to highlight like the Persistence. When we were checking yesterday, they are into a lot of CSR activities from rural development and watershed activities, and lot of things where people can collaborate with them and even help them to reach a common goal. So there are a lot of organizations like this. So it's not that there is no support. Go ahead with your solution that you want to build, and try to have an end goal and a long-term vision. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think that was amazing and great, wonderful suggestions to everyone. So hopefully that inspires you all to be able to get in and not be afraid and keep persisting as they have over the past few years. This unfortunately concludes our panel discussion, but if you would like to talk to this amazing team, they'll be sticking around after the program, so feel free to come up and chat with them. But thank you so much, and we'll look forward to talking with you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. We are on all social media platforms, SAAFWATER, Saaf Water handle. So please look how we are working and creating change in this world. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. So one round of applause for the global winners, right? It's a great achievement. Thank you. So yes, couple of points before we move to the next session, right? We are not going to waste too much time, but the idea is that, remember, when you register for the team, as you saw, Saaf Water themselves are 5-member team, right? So you can have a 1-member team, but the ideal one is 3 to 5, because you can actually have, like, I forgot his name, but he's the hardware lead or everything, right? So you can choose the right members in your team. So take time to choose your members, maybe talk within amongst yourselves, right? And this, as I said, register your team is for mentorship within Persistent, right? So this is not the real call for code registration in itself, right? So remember that, and we obviously have some last steps, in turn for the next steps, that is in terms of, team participation or what you should look for when you're creating a team and all those participation agreements and everything, because there are a lot of IP involved and how IBM and Saaf Water are working together. So there are a lot of things. So we have that as the last closing remarks. So until that happens, we will actually, go ahead with the other sessions. So I would like to invite Priya Vasudevan, right? So she's the senior architect from IBM, and she's going to take you through turn sustainability into action. So give us a moment, yeah. Right, so let's wait for a minute. Perfect. So over to you, Priya.
So much. Okay. Thanks for this opportunity today. And I am Priya Vasudevan, and I work as a senior architect with the IBM ecosystem engineering team. We had a very insightful discussions today, both from the panels and from our leaders, who basically told us what is the need of the hour, right? We all at least agree on this one common point, that sustainability is definitely something that we need to take action on. And so what we are going to look at today is how we can turn that sustainability more from ambition, more from just a goal, into actions. And how we can leverage the products from IBM, the offerings from IBM, and put it to better use here, right? So this is a quick survey that was done by the IBM Business Value team, and this survey happens every year. And as per the March survey that was done, we had interviewed a couple of, a lot of thousands of CEOs actually. And of those, what we noticed was that the prime focal area that CEOs are concerned about is sustainability. And they face undue pressure, not just from their employees and stakeholders, but even more so from the government today, to maintain sustainable practices inside their organization in their businesses. Now, the middle portion of the slide is more to do with how IBM can help with its strong foundation, data foundation, and its technology imprint, and how it is able to help you in this sustainable journey and drive a digital transformation in this process. So this is again the results of the business study that was done, and what we see is that 80% of the CEOs expect a tremendous impact in their business if there is enough investment in sustainability, and this will be seen over the next 5 years. But one of the challenges that they also face is the insights that they can derive out of the huge data overhaul, right? Because you have so many systems and you're not able to correlate those systems, or you are not able to correlate the data between those systems and derive insights out of those. So that is where IBM software solutions will help you. And to basically put it concisely into 3 points, if we have to say that yes, this is what we need to have to maintain a sustainable business, it would be first to identify your sustainability and your ESG goals. This is your environmental, social, and governance goals, right? So first you identify your goals, and then you basically define a baseline there and say that this is, so say you want to reduce the carbon emission. So you say this is the amount of carbon emission I am going to reduce. So this is the percentage you are going to look at. Or you spoke about the Saaf Water thing. So how much of your water needs to get reutilized? So those are things that you will decide as a baseline. And then you will go about how you can operationalize those and translate your goals into actions. So from that standpoint, what we have is, we at IBM have a clear-cut roadmap which will help you in this sustainable journey, which will translate your ambitions into actions. Now for this, what we clearly need is a 3-tiered approach, right? What you need is something which will help you advise, inform, and connect all of your ESG data into your business. So now if you look at this 3-phased approach, first one is to have align with your business strategy, which is where you identify your ESG goals, inform the same to your employees, your internal and external stakeholders. All of them should be in compliance with these ESG goals that you are defining. And next set is to have a single system of record of your ESG data. And this is the data that you will be using for your analytics, for your reporting purposes, and for your any data mining that you will have to do from a climate risk management. And then you will have your systems that are your business systems that are operating. So here we have 3 pillars at the lower end of the slide, which is about how you can manage your assets. So that's the first thing on intelligent asset management. And then how you can leverage your infrastructure, IT infra, and then your circular supply chain. So these are 3 things that IBM is heavily invested in from a IBM sustainability offering standpoint. So if we look at it, all of us have done the connect the dot puzzle, right? So connecting, when we say connecting the dots, the end picture is only visible when you connect the dots fully. And here you definitely need something, and that something is your ESG data, right? Unless you have the single system of record ESG data, which will get embedded into your operation systems which are running, you will not be able to derive the full benefit of it. And so what we are trying to do here is embed that ESG data into your individual systems, which is your asset management system, your IT infra, and your supply chains. So when we look at opportunities. What are the opportunities that you have within these three when you look at it separately? So when you look at asset managements, we are trying to see how you can improvise the life of an asset, right? How you can reduce the carbon emissions there. And when you look at IT infra, we are trying to see how you can reduce the cost, how you can reduce, not just the infra cost, but also your operational costs there. And with complex supply chains, we are trying to see how you can get that end-to-end visibility of a supply chain and ensure that you have track and trace, and you're confident of the product that you are using. So there is enough provenance there. So what we have on the lower end of the slide is some stats on how using those using a sustainable asset management, how there is a 20 to 30% increase in productivity. And with IT infra, we have seen 30% reduction in cloud consumption over a period of 6 months. And with circular supply chains, we have seen a reduction, a tremendous reduction in the freight charges cost. So this is just a quick video that will help you understand how IBM is invested and really empowering a resilient, sustainable future. Yeah. Sorry, I think there's some glitch here. It's not working, but I'll share this video offline. Okay. Yeah, so we'll move on to see how IBM is able to, from the IBM sustainability solutions, how we are able to employ those and take sustainability as a goal forward. So we saw these 3 tiers that we spoke of, right? And now we are trying to see how IBM is able to fit into those 3 tiers. So from an aligned business strategy, what we have is Garage, which is more like workshops for brainstorming, and this is done by our expert labs teams and the IBM consulting teams, where you can involve with them and have full day workshops and identify your ESG goals. The next set is about ESG data and climate risk management, which is where we have NVZ and Environment Intelligence Suite. So NVC is a recent acquirement, was recently acquired by IBM, and we'll see more about it in the forthcoming slides. From an asset management and workspace management, we have 2 products, which is Maximo and Tririga. And again, from IT infra, we have Turbonomics and Linux One. And from a circular supply chain standpoint, we have our flagship product, which is Sterling Order Management and Supply Chain Intelligence Suite. So NVZ has been a leader in the ESG and the GHG reporting since 2009. And some of the prime things that they do is not just capture your scope 1 and scope 2 emissions, but also your scope 3 emissions. So, for those who are not completely aware of scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, scope 1 is more like assets that are owned by your own business. So if you say your business owns a fleet of cars, so the carbon emissions that come directly from the fleet of cars would be a scope 1 emission. And scope 2 emission is a little more indirect, which is something like, if there is, if your cars need to be electronically charged. So the electricity wastage that goes out of that, the carbon emission from that goes into your scope 2 emissions. As scope 3 emissions is more to do with your value chain itself, with your supply chain. So you say, your business procures something from a supplier and then uses it and then disposes it. The carbon emissions that are involved in this process contributes to your scope 3 emission. So which is a little more tricky to identify and to report. And that is where NVZ is a leader. And so it is not just emission management, but they also excel in ESG data reporting. So you don't have to have any messy reports or any Excel sheets now. So this is a finance grade reporting framework, and they also adhere to some of the other framework standards like your CDP, SDG standards and other things. And not just your reporting and your emission management, but they also keep track of your performance, right? So if you say as an organization, you say that this is my goal I want to achieve, and this is the progress you have made. So it is able to track the progress and say this is your actual performance versus your expected outcome. So that is also something it will be able to do. So yeah, and it also has 500 inbuilt data connectors via which it is able to accept data in any form, read your supplier data files, Excel sheets and all of that, and have it in beautifully intrinsic dashboards. So yeah, and this is just some resources, some links that you might want to refer if you are keen to look at NVZ as an offering. Now I'll move on to the climate risk part of it, which is the environment intelligence suite. And from an environmental intelligence suite, this is again, something in the cloud space. It is a cloud-based offering from IBM. And what this does is it uses the proprietary data within your business and combines it with the geospatial analytics and IoT related data, the data from your sensors and weather alerts, and it is able to give you more weather related insights. So you club this with any of your business needs. So it needn't be necessarily vegetation or route optimization that is mentioned on the slide. So from a vegetation standpoint, if you look at it from a farmer's angle, with better weather insights, he is able to produce more yield of crops. From a route optimization perspective, once you know how your climate is going to be, you plan the route accordingly for your deliveries. So EIS helps you with the deep insights, monitoring of your weather-related events, and gives you more insights on a severe weather condition, right? And it is also able to give you prediction and helps you in business continuity, because when you see that there is a weather calamity looming at large, you can take mitigative actions so that there is business continuance. Now again, these are just some use cases. So it needn't necessarily be crop reduction, or it can also be something like a government body. A government body, when they combine this weather data along with the public health data, what they are able to do is they are able to better guide the public on scenarios, say in case of a recent pandemic that we had. So in such scenarios, weather data along with this health data from the public health is going to help you much better. And retailer, for that matter, right? When you have when retailer is able to get access to this weather data, they are able to plan their supply and demand better. So that's yet another example. And what we see with EIS is that it is more to do with the climate risk management. It helps you with better weather forecasting, gives you alerts, and has intuitive dashboards, maps, charts, and all of that. And it's able to give you notifications whenever there is a weather event, a severe weather event, and you can plan for your business continuity accordingly. So again, we have some resources from IBM to help you in this journey on EIS. Now we spoke of the middle layer, right? We spoke of what was in the middle layer regarding ESG data and climate risk management. Now we'll move on to the pillars at the bottom of the slide, where we speak about asset management. So Maximo Application Suite has been a leader in the asset management space since the past 15 years. And what we see on the slide are primarily functionalities of the Maximo application suite. So Maximo Manage is something that will help you identify, plan, and schedule better for a asset management perspective. So when a technician arrives at your location, he should have the right spare part, he should have the right skill set. All of that will be taken care of by Maximo Manage. With Monitor, Health, and Predict, what you're able to do is you're able to do asset performance management better. So it is able to tell you when the asset needs to be replaced, or if there is a failure of the asset, it is going to predict that upfront. And what this will also help you do is, it will also help you understand when there is a maintenance that is required of your asset. So any unscheduled maintenance can be avoided, and it is also going to lower down your business cost there. So visual inspection again is more to do with how you can visually identify and correct the errors in the asset, so that you don't end up in expensive downtime failures. Mobile and assists are more to bridge the technical gaps. So what we see here is this intelligent system has been able to not just manage your asset and monitor your asset, but is also able to improvise the lifetime of your asset, right? So here what we see is that you are able to extend the life of your asset using Maximo Asset Management tool. And again, not just this, it is also going to help you in reduction of your carbon emissions, in your basically fault detection, and reducing your business costs. So this is just some innovative areas on how you can build solutions around Maximo. You can club Maximo along with NVZ, and you can identify not just, you can identify how the weather is impacting the asset. Again, here we have some resources from IBM to help you enrich your knowledge on the Maximo application suite. So we'll move on to TriRiga. TriRiga application suite is something in the workspace management, the workspace and workplace management. That is where TriRiga comes in. And when we look at workplaces, real estate is definitely one thing that businesses are heavily invested in. And most of the carbon emissions, when we look at commercial business, commercial real estates, is from your construction and from your operational standpoint. So TriRiga is going to help you identify how you can optimize the space and how you can save on energy there, right? And we saw that especially during pandemic when most of our workplaces were empty. So it is also going to help you in optimally using the space and onboarding, optimally using, and also disposing the space. So what we have seen here is that you will not just be able to reduce on cost, you're actually reducing the footprint of the buildings that will be used by your business. You are able to effectively and efficiently track the energy that is being used in these office spaces. So yeah, HVAC equipment is another example here on how you are able to effectively use those equipments. So again, from an innovative standpoint area, when you combine TriRiga along with Maximo and NVZ, you have a huge transformation that a business can derive. Again, here we have some resources on how you can enable yourself on TriRiga. We'll shift gears a little and move to the supply chain aspect of it, right? The last piece of it where we spoke about the circular supply chains. So when we look at supply chains, three important things that we definitely need is consumer branding. your track and trace in the supply chain, and how you can optimally use the inventory so that you can reduce the wastage, and also how you are able to reduce the fulfillment cost for your customers. So these are three important points, and from IBM we offer something called the IBM Supply Chain Intelligence Suite, which is again a SaaS offering, and it embeds two other solutions, the Control Tower and the Blockchain Transparent Supply. So the Control Tower is going to have dashboards, KPIs, and it is able to give you details on when an item is going to go out of stock or when an item is going to near shelf life expiry. So which in turn is going to reduce your wastage and contributes to a circular supply chain, right? So, so that is on Control Towers, and from a blockchain transparent supply, what it can do is, it is going to give you that end-to-end visibility in your supply chain. So we saw recently, 2 months back, there was a case about salmonella being found in a chocolate manufacturing company, right? A Swiss manufacturing company. So in such a scenario, what had to happen was they had to really call up and identify those lots where which were found in this defective manufacturing plant, and they had to stop those lots from going out to the customers. So tracking and tracing of all this becomes very important, and that is where your transparent supply helps you, because it will give you not just from a retailer standpoint, but down the value chain also you can identify where it was produced till whose hand it goes to. So that is the amount of visibility it has with this network. Now, from Sterling Order Management standpoint, Sterling Order Management has been a flagship product in the order orchestration and the fulfillment space in IBM. And Sterling was a company that was acquired by IBM way back in 2010. And as a part of this, we again have visibility into where your inventory is lying across your various nodes, right? Across your distribution centers, warehouses, where your distribution is lying, so that those inventory do not go waste and they can be used effectively. So, and it helps you in the entire fulfillment of the order. So intelligent promising is an add-on on top of Sterling Order Management, and it will help you identify, once a customer is able to is more aware of which particular option is going to is more sustainable, he or she is probably liable and is willing to pay a little more for that, right? So let's say you procure something and it has to be shipped via either ground or via air. And in both of these, you as a customer, if you are aware that this is the amount of carbon emission that is done in the process, probably you will shell out a little more, even if it comes via ground, right? Even if it takes a longer time, unless you have an emergency there to get it. So, so that is the amount of information that you can get from intelligent promising. So you will be aware that yes, this is the amount of carbon emissions that can be done in a particular fulfillment method. So order management not just deals with all of this, it also deals with smart sourcing, right? So where do you source the product from your nearest location? Are you willing to pay a little more for this? Or how you can reduce the fulfillment cost based on the priorities that are set by the business, right? So again, to summarize, this is just the value chain that you see on the lower end of the screen, which is where track and trace comes in. And based on just the QR code scanning, you will be able to identify where it was procured from. So it helps you not just in tracing and recalling, it also helps you in provenance. So something like an organic substance that you're planning to buy, how do you know if it is really organic is something that, when you have track and trace facility there, you will be able to identify that. So not just track and trace, you can also have certificate management and product carbon footprint that is shared across the members of this trusted value network. So when you know that, yes, this is the amount of carbon emissions that is done by your logistics provider, by your suppliers, by your warehouses, and by your manufacturers. So as a consumer, you are more aware that this product has lesser carbon footprint compared to another one. And so you're probably willing to shell out more, even because it has a sustainable impact on the environment. So yeah, again here we have some innovative areas that can be built when you combine SCIS, which is the Supply Chain Intelligence Suite, along with NVZ. You get better insights into your scope 3 emissions, which is tracked across your supply chain. So yeah, these are some resources that will help you gain expertise on supply chain as a concept, and also how you can use IBM supply chain products. I think with that it's a wrap. Any specific questions, queries, I'm open to take it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priya. So we are having the last session now, right? Are you guys excited still? Yeah, energy levels good. Awesome. Because this session is more about the interactive session. So we're going to have a bit of a kind of a understanding of what the design thinking is about. So who here knows design thinking? Raise of hands. Okay, quite a few less, right? So it's exciting. So then you should get involved. You should understand what is the process about, and they'll take you through the steps. So they'll actually get you there in terms of where we start the design thinking process. So there will be a bit of a workshop also in between. So definitely get excited and show some participation now. This is the moment where you'll actually get the real interest of how to actually go about your solution, right? So that's the main crux, right? So couple of reminders again. This is registering for a team for mentorship on Persistent, right? This is not the exact registration for the call for code. So actually go to callforcode.org, right? So that's more about it. And over to Mandar and Sujay. Sorry, got your names wrong.
So, hi everyone. Good to see you. Good to see a packed audience. I am Sujay Fadke. I basically head the cloud innovation team at Persistent Systems, CTO.org. And Mandar is my colleague. So we both are going to talk. So Mandar, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon. A very warm welcome. It's nice to see you all here. I'm Mandar Gyan. I head the strategy and offerings management for the CTO office.
So today we are planning to have an interactive session. We'll give some examples of innovations that went commercial, and then walk you through an example of a sustainability problem where we will interact. So we'll keep it informal and interactive. There is nothing set, right? So do feel free to stop us in between and pitch in. Over to you, Mandar.
So please put on your thinking hats. Let's start with the trivia. All of us know of the safety pin, right? We've been using it for generations. What's the story behind it? What is the humble history of the safety pin? Back in 1849, American mechanic Walter Hunt had borrowed $15 from his acquaintance. Now that was a big sum back then. And it so happened that he couldn't repay it for a while, and he was being followed to pay that back. And one such day, while he was anxious, he started fiddling around with a piece of wire. Being a mechanic, little did he know that he would actually come up with a design and find a way to clasp the wire shut. And that is how the safety pin came into being, right? As you would see, it took a lot of iterations to come up with this design. And what happened after that? He actually managed to patent it and sell it to W.R. Grace and Co. for a huge sum of $400 back then. This way he could repay his debt, and he was a happy man. But do you know what happened after that? This company went on to make millions, and this little safety pin transformed the way it was used in the clothing industry, right? So things could get transformational. It could start from somewhere. Let's keep our eyes open and keep that iterative spirit of experimentation and design. Innovation and sustainability. You've been hearing about various examples today of sustainability. Whether it is companies or all of us, it's important to think about sustainability. Do we do that in our everyday life? As companies make profit, there's economic progress. What happens to the rest of the three pillars? The human development, society at large, and the environmental aspects, right? What is the thought behind it? Are we going to leave a great planet for our generations to come? Are we doing that? Let's get down to the size of one, right? We in our daily lives, you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth. If you think about the things behind it, the toothpaste as we know it today actually has a cover. When you go to the shop, you buy it, what is the first thing that you do? You take off and throw away the cover, right? What remains with you is the tube. What happens to that cover that was thrown away? Are we recycling it today? What happens? Today, compared to the earlier times when farming was sort of more green, if you will, are you aware of how the vegetables travel to your table today? Do you think of how they are produced? Chemicals, use the land, water, energy used there. How does it get packaged, delivered to you? There are times you see that each vegetable is wrapped with a plastic, right? We still buy it. Do you carry a cloth bag to the market to buy vegetables, right? What happens to that plastic? Is it recycled? Is it really one-time use plastic? Are we thinking about it? That's the question. Any thoughts, any initial thoughts? I don't know, is there a mic in the audience? Any examples that you would like to give? All of us do many things, right? We buy, we use Amazon to get things delivered. COVID has taught us even more. Everything can be delivered to the doorstep. How sustainable is it? Anyone raise of hands?
There. I think we should have a little bit of participation, right? We have somebody? Yeah, okay, excellent. I thought I'll just pop
So
in.
just an example, what I'm facing now, right now, my laptop, the battery has gone down. I need a charger. There's no charger here on the seats. I have to go there and do it. So a small need, which people face, and then something happens out of that.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Most of the time we are thinking of, from your point of view. Now, we need to also think, how does it come to that wall, right? How does it get delivered there? How is it being produced? What is visible today to you is just the tip of the iceberg, right? You use that Amazon parcel and throw away the cardboard, throw away the plastic. What happens after that? Does it get separated at the bio cardboard? Do you have all these electronic collection boxes there? What happens to this whole thing after that? Who separates it? Do you do it? Is there someone else doing the manual scavenging work there? Have you thought of that human aspect, the social aspect? What message are we giving? So the thing is, as we enjoy the services today, what are the other elements around the society that we need to think about? Is this whole thing sustainable? That's what we think at an individual level. And so do the businesses. We have heard of few examples today, but it starts from us, right? That is the key thing. So keep thinking. And please feel free to, just raise your hand, give examples. Let's make it interactive. Let's go further in history, right? You're all in Pune. When you think of technology, of course, what names come to you? Persistent, IBM, but Tata. Tata is a key example, and the Nano. It all gave us something big, right? A people's car. Now, where did it all begin? Right? When Mr. Ratan Tata actually saw a family of 4 riding on a two-wheeler with parents and 2 children precariously on the two-wheeler in rainy, stormy weather, it made him think, can I do something for them? How can we put such families on a more safer environment and a vehicle? The thought for an individual, for the society, and what could we do about it, right? So when the solutioning started, when they started thinking about putting the solution, there was also a thought of not only the design elements and such, but also the environment, the emission norms and so on, right? So let's have a brief look at the people's car journey. It all began with this phase of empathize. What does this mean? It simply means that you need to put yourself in the user's shoes. You need to think about the user. So when you look at this picture, it makes you think, well, it's a family of 4. They're traveling on a two-wheeler today. How much are they spending on transportation? If they're using a scooter today, they're going to be using a bicycle. What else? They probably use a rickshaw, they probably use a bus, and maybe a train for transportation. How can you think of the constraints that they have, empathize with it, while keeping all the sustainability factors in mind? And as you do that, you get and define the need and the constraints, right? So the thought was to put this entire family in a comfortable, affordable ride. So the idea is to be able to ride comfortably, but with all this. So it's about sustainability of the individual, but also about putting a sustainable process with the given constraint to be able to design and come up with a solution to be able to do this, right? Okay, so we go on to the next stage. What happened after that? As you start looking towards your solution, your individual problems that you're going to face, you will have to challenge every idea that exists there. What happened during this process here? You see that as Tata engineers went about doing it, they came up with 31 design and 37 technology patents, right? Each idea in the automobile engineering book was challenged. And you see the result here. Right from the tires, the 3 lug nuts that were used, to a single wiper, to the tall boy design, to the engine which is conventionally placed up front was put back. So when you get towards your problems, you're going to have to challenge everything. Not invented here syndrome cannot be there, right? And of course, there is prototyping, testing, endless design. The teams came up with a very cross-sectional input, not only from the people who were making it, their users, but a cross-section of people who would come and give ideas, right? And iterations, design considerations, repeatedly going back to the drawing board, testing all assumptions. happens in a repeated and iterative manner. And that's how you finally get a product like this, which is a people's car. And the iterations have continued. And this is a recent picture of Mr. Tata receiving the EV, nano EV. Over to my colleague, Sujay.
Thanks, Mandar. That was a good, great introduction. So I'm going to go and talk about another example, right? And something that you guys have seen, it relates to you. So just a show of hands, how many of you know Aether Energy? Okay, quite a few people, great. And how many of you actually own an Aether? Okay, there are a few people here, great. So you guys are rocking, right? Great, good work. Okay, so this story basically pertains to two IIT graduate students. And these guys, they not only looked at the problem from an energy perspective, but they looked at it from a safety and ride comfort perspective. So there are multiple aspects. When you ride a bike in a city like Pune, there are potholes, right? And you have to navigate through that. You need to be safe. You'll fall off your bike. At the same time, you're spending a lot of money on petrol, right? On the fuel. So all of these problems came together in the minds of these people. And these two students, Tarun Mehta and Swapnil Jain, they were students. So they started sketching. They came up with an idea. They talked to their fellow students. They looked at how they commute in the campus. They talked to other people who used to commute in Chennai, right? And after that, so they empathized. They got into their shoes, like Mandar said. And after that, they started defining the problem, right? But the journey for them paused at that stage. They didn't have the money to go ahead and make that bike. So they graduated, went to the auto industry, started working there. And then they realized with the experience that, hey, we think that we can make this product commercial and possible, right? And that's what they learned in the industry. So they went back and their professors graciously helped them to incubate their startup. And what we have today is a bike which is electric, which is smart, which is connected, right? So I do hope to see more hands in the future, including mine. But so this is where we are. But the journey was not, a single year, 2 year, 3 year journey. It was a 10+ year journey. As students, they made something or drew something that they couldn't make. They went to the industry, came back, and then started in 2013, a startup, right? And today is 2022, so 9 years after that. So this is a very repetitive process. You empathize, then you define the problem, but then the main part is ideate, prototype, test, go back and forth until you have that product that everybody wants to buy. So I'll just show you a quick video of the journey. Just bear with me for a second until I project it. Can you turn on the light? So you clearly saw how these guys went about their journey, right? Starting with a bike made in a workshop to a finished product, right? But what you just saw was the hardware part. Now, if you think about the product as a whole, there is a huge area of software that went behind it, from cloud to sensors to, making an app, right? So if those owners of Aether here know that if you ride that bike, you have this feature called Smart Eco, where the ride data from multiple bikes is collected. And if you're driving down a particular road, your navigation system knows that there is a certain acceleration profile you should have to have the best consumption or the lowest energy usage. So that's something that's built in, right? And then the app has features like it tells you how much carbon you saved, how much money you saved over time. So there is a huge universe, or a sort of the part of the iceberg that you don't see. And I wanted to impress this upon you because this call for code is an action for software. And software is essential everywhere. There is no system today that works without software, right? Another example, Netflix. You know how Netflix started? Does anybody know how Netflix started? Exactly, right? DVDs. So 23 years, late 90s to today, 23 years it has taken them to come up to a place where you can log into your TV and watch Netflix series. It gives you suggestions, right? But it didn't happen in a day. It happened iteratively. So keep in mind this iterative process. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that having an innovation, or making an innovation possible is not a lightning bolt phenomena. It happens over time, and you need structured thinking. And that is called design thinking. And there are 5 steps of design thinking, and we'll go over that. Okay. So what Mandar said and what I said, I'm going to repeat this a bit, but empathize, right? That's the first step. So what do? You define your client. Who's your customer, right? Then what you do is you talk to your customer. Maybe go out, get surveys, try to get into their shoes and in their brain. And what you should get at the end of this journey is a customer persona. How does your typical customer look? What do they want? What has their journey been so far in solving their problem? Where are they stuck? What are the pain points? And this is where you try to empathize. The stage after empathize is defined, but before I do that, I'll show you a picture and I want your feedback. So I'd like you all to take maybe a few seconds or half a minute in one word, okay? Try to describe this picture, just one word. So I'll wait for 30 seconds and then we can continue. Give it a few more seconds. I want everybody to participate. So, but one word. Fair enough. Okay, so let's start. Yeah. Hazard, okay. Helplessness, stuck, okay. Anybody from this side? Yeah. Break up, okay. Break up with the car, I hope. Okay. Anybody from the back? Yeah. Waiting for help? Okay, good, excellent. One more maybe. Yeah, at the back. Despair? Okay, great. So great examples, a lot of nouns, adjectives and verbs, right? So when you say breakdown, what comes to your mind? What comes to your mind is I need a service to repair my car. So one solution, right? If you say empty road, what comes to your mind is, okay, I need a transport to take these people to where they want to go. But really you should be thinking about a verb. So let's say that somebody said look or seek, right? What are they seeking? They're seeking to repair their car. They're seeking to, go to a city. So they need a public transport or an Uber, right? Probably they are seeking to charge their phones or have some food. They're tired. So what I'm trying to say is if you think about design in terms of a verb, the kind of solutions and approaches that you will get will be far numerous compared to a noun or an adjective. So just keep it in mind. When you define, think about a verb. Right? Then what do? You crystallize the problem. You come up with the minimum set of pain points that your customer has to make a solution. Don't try to address everything and everything and anything under the sky. It's not going to work. What you need to understand is what is my customer's minimum set of problem, and that is my problem statement. And that defines what I'm going to do for my prototyping stage or in the ideating stage. So then you go back, you ideate. The best way to ideate is to have a whiteboard, actually come up with all the ideas that you have. I don't know how many of you have heard of a person called Linus Pauling. He is a famous scientist. Anybody heard of Linus Pauling? He was a physicist, 2 times Nobel laureate. And this is what he said, to get a few good ideas, you need to have a lot of ideas. And many of them will be bad, many of them you'll throw away, right? But there will be a subset. Statistically, there will be a subset that will work beautifully. So have a lot of ideas, discuss, brainstorm, and importantly, have non-technical people on your team. And this comes from personal experience. So before I joined Persistent Systems, I used to design automation systems, so automated medicine dispensing systems for pharmacies. And I had built this very nice prototype. I was, in love with it, right? It had a nice moving mechanism and the electronics under that. So the cabinet for the electronics was under that. And I was showing it to a family member who was a non-tech person. So I opened up the cabinet and I was like, look, this is, patentable. This is awesome. This will work really well. So the person looks all the way down and sees the electronics and says, hey, what if a screw fell? What would you do, right? Your electronics are right down there. And I was like, poof. I should have put it on a wall somewhere. And this non-tech person actually caught it. So believe me, if you involve people from sales, marketing, maybe somebody from administration, maybe some of your friends in arts, it will definitely help you. So please do that. Don't stick to technology. Okay. So the next stage obviously is prototyping. You take the ideas and you come up with a prototype. The key point here is don't try to put in all the features in one go. It won't work. You'll spend a lot of time and then you'll realize you made something that nobody wanted. So fail fast. So the mantra is fail fast. Let's say you are making an app. You don't have to, an app that possibly has an online store to sell products, right? Like Amazon. Don't try to make the full functionality with the cloud, with, a Shopify integrated and everything. Make mock-ups and go to your client, test it out, tell them, ask them, is this what you're looking for? These are the buttons on it. These are the features. Does it appeal to you? If it does, go back, ideate, add more functionality in your prototype stage and test it again. And go and, go in circles. But do not try to do everything in one go. It will burn you. Okay. So any questions so far or shall we proceed? Okay. I don't see any questions yet. I hope I'm not boring you, but since the theme is sustainability, let's work through a problem, a real problem that you might work on in this call for code. So I'm going to walk you through the different stages. I'm going to define the problem and we'll do an interactive session of what everybody thinks. Okay. So a big company like Persistent Systems, right? We have campuses across the globe. And each campus is using services, it's burning energy, and there is a lot of carbon footprint. And let's say one of your friends went to a talk from a Persistent Systems tech person who said that we would want to go carbon zero, right? And your friend excitedly comes to you and says, hey, there is an opportunity. Persistent Systems wants to go carbon zero. I'm sorry. And you are a person who is working in the green energy field. So what is the thing that should come to your mind? Any guesses? What is the first thing? Yeah. Bang on, exactly. So the crux of the problem is to understand how much carbon are you generating or how much energy you are using, right? And that's where your problem statement starts. So let's walk through the exercise and let's see what you guys come up with. Okay, so step 1, empathize. Let's just take a few seconds and I'll go around and ask people what they would do in this stage. So maybe 10 seconds and we'll go around. So any show of hands, how would we start? How would you empathize with your customer? Anybody? It's not an exam. You feel free to be wrong. It's totally fine. Yeah. Absolutely.
Carbon footprint, I would.
Sure. So you are in the define phase now, but how would you empathize with your client? What would be the step for that? What, in any idea? It's okay to be wrong. It's totally fine. Never mind. It's fine. Don't worry about getting the answer right or wrong. It's an open question. Yeah. Exactly, bang on, right? So what the gentleman here said is whom to talk to, basically. Who knows the crux of the problem and who can help you solve it. So here is a list of few things that I have, and let's, feel free to add anything that I'm missing. So who is your customer? Obviously the company, right? Importantly, whom do you talk to? If you come and talk to me at Persistent, I don't have any idea of how to save carbon in a, I should have an idea, but I don't have any right now. So you need to go and talk to the chief administrative officer or maybe the head of facilities, right? As the gentleman said. But before you go and talk to the person, you need to do your research. And as competitors in the Call for Code hackathon, it's important for you to do research before you go and actually try to empathize or actually try to define the problem. And that's because you may not know the problem as a whole. So let's, take a round here. The previous person before me, the lady that spoke, talked about some emissions, right? So how many of you remember the different scopes of emissions? Any show of hands? Okay. Hazard to guess? Perfect. 3 scopes of emissions, right? Scope 1, direct emissions. Maybe you are at Tata Steel and you're burning coal or some fuel to form your steel, right? So that's direct emissions. And that's what is captured in scope 1. Then scope 2 are some things like utilities. You use electricity, water, other utilities that count as carbon generated somewhere on the planet. And scope 3. And these are the most challenging problems, right? In scope 3, you don't know exactly how much carbon you are generating. The problem is it occurs because of the business activities of your company. So you could be sending out a courier somewhere. Maybe you're sitting at home and working from home on a laptop. So how much energy does your laptop consume, right? Your data center has hard drives. A hard drive breaks down, so you pull it out and you put a new one in. What was the carbon footprint of a new hard drive? So all of this comes under scope 3, and typically these have to be modeled. They cannot necessarily be calculated. So talking to the customer we spoke about, but an important question here is important point is to ask why. So what, when, how, where are fine. But you go to your customer and you find the person saying that, hey, we looked at the carbon footprint statement, but we never looked at solving it. So you ask why. Maybe your customer has already looked at it but failed. So you ask why. That why question that gives you the insights to the problem, politely obviously, is important to ask, apart from what, when, and where. Okay, so you have empathized, you're in the shoes of your client, you know their persona, you know their journey, what to do, right? Okay, next step, define the problem. So any show of hands on how you will define the problem? Anybody who can talk about? The gentleman here already did a part of it, so somebody else wants to take a shot? Okay, people are getting shy or they're getting bored. Okay. Is there anyone? Okay. Okay, so what does your customer persona say, right? How do they, what are they trying to imply from their problem statement? Importantly, what verb will you use? So any verbs that come to your mind, any show of hands here? Or I'm trying to make it interactive. So any verbs? Yeah? Reduce? Yes. Great. Any other verb? Pleasure? Yes. Use? Okay. Anybody from this side? I see a lot of people in uniform. So at least one of you can answer. Maybe the gentleman here. Any idea? Just give me a verb. Okay, I don't want to make you conscious, but yeah. Improve. Okay, great. Awesome. I think, yeah. Document. So you guys have given me verbs that are beyond my, what I wrote here. So great, amazing. You're doing better than me. So some of these came to my mind. Obviously, measure, monitor are the common ones, but display, right? What do you want to show to the client? How will you display it? Download. Maybe the client wants the data in an Excel sheet and run their own analysis, right? And processing the data, coming up with a model. Okay. What are the potential pain points? Obviously, scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions. How are you going to measure them? How are you going to model them? Importantly, what should be your minimum viable product, MVP? So obviously, when you go to the client and say that, hey, I'm going to build something for you, you're not going to target all the 100 facilities across the globe. That's not going to happen. You're going to pick one facility and work on it. So it's very important to define the scope. Obviously, emissions, how are you going to measure them? How are you going to model it? What kind of dashboard will you create? These are all obviously the definition part of the, the journey, which you will use to ideate. And importantly, don't forget, the success criteria has to be defined at this stage. Okay, I have the definitions right here, but when do I qualify my prototype as being successful versus it failing, right? So that criteria also has to be defined. You cannot go in blind and think that the customer is going to like what you make. You define, I'm going to capture all my emissions, stage 1 and stage 2, scope 1 and scope 2. And scope 3, maybe I won't be very accurate. So 80% is a good target to shoot. So make sure that you define it at this stage. And then you go to ideate. So I've dropped a big hint here. Anybody who would like to contribute here? Any show of hands? Men in blue, women in blue, other people? So that's the next stage. What do you do in ideate? Yeah, brainstorm, right? Set a flow, yes, sure. You draw the flow out. Anybody, any ideas maybe you want to put up here? Does anybody have any idea that they want to give for this problem statement? Sure. That was a part of the plan, by the way. We changed the plan for the presentation, but yes, Shivananda would have loved your idea. Anybody, any thoughts on what ideas can come here? Anything that comes to your mind? Okay, what kind of theory? Okay, fair.
More additional use cases where this could apply to.
Sure, so you come up with areas where you could apply this. So maybe housing societies, maybe offices, whatnot. Yeah? Sure. So energy calculation. MVP. Yes, absolutely. Yeah? Sure. Great. By the way, are you guys from MIT? Okay. We used to have the same uniform, so I was like, Okay. Great. So a lot of good ideas that have come in. Obviously, brainstorm, define the MVP. Important for call of code, right? What are the IBM technologies that you're going to use? Are you going to use IBM Cloud, IoT? Are you going to use databases? So define the technology that you're going to use. Very important. Otherwise, you won't know. You'll be searching around. Secondly, how will you collect the data? What kind of sensors will you put? Where will you put them? Which carbon emissions will you actually capture versus which one will you model, right? Very clear idea about how you are going to go about this problem. Don't try to imagine that, it's as a mechatronics engineer or a mechanical engineer, it's a habit that somebody comes to you with a problem and you just brush it away saying that, oh, there will be some sensor that will capture that. No, define that sensor. And if it's not there, if you don't find it on Amazon or Robu or any other site, make sure that you don't use it. So clearly define that. Obviously, then you prototype. So Any thoughts on how would you go about prototyping the zero or the carbon capture problem? Any thoughts? How would you start? What would be your first prototype? Any inputs? Thought I heard somebody here. Sorry, can you raise your hand? I can't. Yeah. Okay, paper prototype. So, as in? Okay. Fair. Block diagram also works, paper also works. Anything from a actual product perspective, any of the students? Yeah.
Actual my organization related emissions. So
okay.
So that can I can relate actual problem how is solved.
A sort of correlation graph or maybe a table. Okay, fair. Yeah. Model it. Sure. So scope 3 would be modelable, right? You can model it. Right. Right. Even scope 1 and scope 2, you can give in some mock values and then you can calculate. Yeah, sure. That works. Okay, just, yeah. Okay, demo, but you'll have to make a mock-up for that, right? So my suggestion is that in step 1, you should create a mock-up of a dashboard that your customer would want to see. You go to the customer and you tell them with a mock data that, hey, in this dashboard, I'm going to show these items. How much carbon was emitted per month, maybe, or per facility, or how much carbon am I saving by moving my data center to cloud. And you would show this dashboard and the mock-up screenshots, maybe on a paper or in a block diagram, and you would ask them, is this what you want? And if they say yes, you go back, you ideate on the functionality, you prototype that functionality and you test it. You go back to the customer again with a real data and you iterate until they want to use your product. But the thing is, don't try to build a full-fledged IoT system in the first place. Build a mock-up, ask the client, test it out, see if it works. If yes, go back and add the functionality, add the model, do the hard work after that. So fail fast. And if you don't fail, succeed by iterating. Okay, so we covered this. And obviously test, it's a no-brainer, right? You do on-field tests, you get client feedback, you go back and improve your product. But importantly, in your carbon emissions problem, it's important to talk to your client and tell them what the assumptions are. So scope 3, how are you modeling the problem? Does the client agree with it? You are saying I'll be 80% accurate. The client may say, no, you'll be only 60% accurate with what you're doing. So take our feedback. So it's important to tell the underlying assumptions and make it clear to the client what they should expect. Okay, so that's most important. So we have covered this entire, presentation now. So I'll stop here. I'll leave you with these 5 points or the 5 pillars of design thinking. Do reach out to us at the email addresses here. And if you have any questions right now, we can take them. The floor is open. Any questions, anything that you would like to throw out, any personal experiences, do feel free to discuss. So any show of hands here. Does anybody have experience of doing design thinking? Okay. Would you like to talk about it?
The only point I would make, guys, is that design thinking, and particularly the empathizing step in design thinking, is the one that we tend to overlook the most and is often the most important. So really spend the time and focus on that first couple of steps. The later stuff will come as you refine the idea, but the kernel of it is that empathizing.
Okay. Yeah.
Design thinking is one of the most important lessons that one should be equipped with. We, as the team of Saaf Water, we incorporated it while participating in Call for Code. And yeah, it helps us a lot in winning the competition and getting getting a great product. So definitely it is very important. Just one thing, this apart from empathize that gentleman was speaking, I believe that test is also one of the most important phase. Like it can literally tell you that are you on a right track or not. If not, better go back to the ideate stage and then start it from there, as also mentioned in this slide. So yeah, these are some of the things that I learned with my personal experience.
Absolutely. It's great to hear from you guys. It's, you are making the real impact on the ground, right? So, yeah.
I have a question. Generally, design thinking process takes time. I mean, it should take time, and we should give every process a certain amount of time to it. Any tips or any suggestions or any practices that you follow to speed up the process? Maybe not in empathization or definition of a problem statement, but somewhere later on.
So in the software world, we use a process called Agile, and you can look it up. But your work is broken down into sprints, and each sprint has stories, user stories, right? Each story is basically a feature that you would put up in your product. Now, in the first round, you may have the basic feature. After 2 weeks, you go back and you improve that feature. So you break your the overall development journey down into weeks. You assign sprints, and you can look this up, and you can develop in an agile methodology. So that could be something that you apply. This is not very popular in the hardware world yet, from where I come, but if people use it, I think it will benefit them a lot.
Thank you very much.
Okay, maybe one last question here. Anybody? Or experience? Yeah.
I would like to add the experience part.
Sure.
Thank you. So, hi everybody, I'm Vanshika. I'm into startup ecosystem, and when we are building a SaaS product, right, design thinking process is something that we don't put it down as a, you can say like, part of the stated process, because the team is very small. So I think everyone is involved in one specific process where we are trying to test out, okay, if this is going to look right. And most important thing is that we have to think from the point of the user. So there are a lot of stakeholders who would be the part of your product, and we have to think from that point of view that if that person, if there's a certain use case, would they like to use it, and then conduct a product feedback as well, which is something I've done personally. So I think taking regular feedbacks is one thing which has really, really helped to make sure that what we are building is in a right direction, and if there's a time to pivot, we do that as well. So yeah, that's.
Great. Thank you. That was a great insight, practical insight. So thank you all. Pleasure talking to you. Pleasure interacting with you. Wish you all the best for your hackathon.
All the best.
All right. Well, we are at the conclusion of our event. I want to thank you so much for attending and participating. And we're going to just leave you with a few things. What's next, right? How to get started. As we mentioned, we've got steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 lined out. 1, if you'd like to take advantage to get mentorship from Persistent, which is an amazing opportunity, please sign up. There's a QR code. You see the benefits of receiving mentorship from having that opportunity from the Persistent team, and so you can do that. In addition, number 2, register for the challenge. You heard from many of us, including Saaf Water, about how amazing opportunity it is to participate in the global challenge. Tech for Good, wonderful thing to do, but also the opportunity to win great prizes. start building. We've talked about some technology that you can leverage within your projects. When you log in on the website, there'll be you'll have access to the technology to begin building. And lastly, don't forget to submit. I think you all understand that the last day to submit for the Global Challenge is on October 31st. So you've got a little time left. So I want to thank you so much from us to you. Thank you to Persistent, the teams that help pull this all together, specifically to our core team, Jason Spalding, Bhavna, and Shiva, who've done an amazing job of bringing this program to you today. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, guys. So just one last note, right? I think we are done with the show, so that's good. So we have lunch for you guys, okay? The physical people who are here, not the online people over there. So definitely there is limited seating in the cafeteria. So please go in batches. That is humble request. Let's not, crowd the main passage area over here. So as in batches, you guys can just enter, and if you see there is no seat, you guys can come back in the auditorium, sit for a while, and then go. So just a note. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the great show. Yeah, so if people have not received their T-shirts, we have a couple or few left.